onye Igbo ka mbụ nwanne enwere Igbo ka mbụ ndị Igbo nwere egbuwe mbụ olu na Igbo nwere ife niile oge ndị nkọm mgbachi ehihie ọbụlụgodo ma tọmtọm down to nurse down to lawyer down to teacher ọbụlụgodo injinia ya na professor plus businessmen industrialists like MONI ndị Igbo ka mụ jụ na ajụjụ ka mụ ji bịa ọnụnụ ya ọ gịnị kpatara oge ụfọdụ Igbo bụ anyị jem anyị ifere ọ gịnị kpatara oge ụfọdụ asụsụ Igbo jem anyị ifere mere onye Igbo bụ onye na-asụ Igbo ọ bụkwa onye ji Igbo atụ egwu ọ sị ya na ọ dị lokal ọ sịrị ya na ọ dị lokal ọ sị ya na ọ dị Igbo dị ọ sịrị ya na ọ dị Igbo dị ọ sị ya na ọ bụ onye ime obodo manya bụ onye jide asụsụ ndị ọzọ ọ na-asụ ya sepụ aka ọ na-amagazi ga nna-ajụ okwu Igbo kwuru okwu asị onye gbabanye ọkpọkọrọ ewelu ya kpụkwu afịfịa ụlọ ya ya inweta bụ oke na-asụ Igbo ọ bụ onye Igbo ka mbụ mana Nnewi to be precise ana-edowe mgbata ego na ịma na nwafọ orizu ọ bụ Igwe Gana orizu ọ bụ Dr. Igwe ọ bụ Innocent Limite ọ bụ Chikasi Limite ọ bụ Sakenu mmadụ atọ ọ bụ Netata Ifeanyi Ụba ọ bụ Ezikolo mmụọ ọ bụ Ozigbo Ndụnyegbo ọ bụ Chiefs Emeka Ọfọ ọ bụ Chief Osita Ọsadebe ọ bụ Oliver Igwe ọ bụ Ali Chukwuma ọ bụ Celestine Ugwu ọ bụ Mfulebo n'abalị ya ọ bụ Inesege ọ bụ Igbo kunie n'oge elugo.
It's time.
It's the MONI Show.
The MONI Show.
The MONI Show.
The MONI Show.
Maka ọdịmma ndị Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Igbo ndị ọma bụ nọ na mba niile ekene m unu. Welcome to the MONI Show maka ọdịmma ndị Igbo. Afa m bụ Chuka. Anyị apụtago ka ime ka anyị si eme na nkata ụmụ Igbo maka ọganiru ka ọ wedịla anyị mma. Ndị Enugu na-asị deje, ndị Anambra na-asị nnọọ, ndị Abịa na-asị, ndị Imo na-asị unu abịala, ndị Ebonyi na-asị ji ọkwa, ndị Abịa na-asị anyị abịawo. Ndewono. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining on time as well. Let me see a sign. Together. This is the 21st episode of the MONI Show. I take a new turn today. I need to go maka politics, go maka finance, economy, and our root, our origin, our identity, our family. So that's why the topic looks like it does. And so I'm able parents, able to be very, very devoted to it. I like career today. You feel free to join us in this conversation. Very important to people. Very important to us because I want a legacy of man when it comes to family. And family values are really very strong. So if I get never makana if so that we can fit in and be able to adapt quickly and be able to handle things, challenges capacity when of course ready. The MONI Show will a show for progressive Igbos. Share ideas, rub minds, find solutions to our collective challenges. MONI is an acronym for Maka Odemma Igbo. I make this conversation every Saturday by 8 p.m. Sometimes I feel like the two important and when you're going to but otu ọ bụla o si wee dị anyị ga na-aga n'iru anyị ga na-eme ife anyị ga-emenwu maka na nkata anụ ọbụkwa nke anyị nwee ike ịkwado onwe anyị and ijekọ together. First of all, anyị ghọta ife na-eme anyị aghọtazie ka anyị ga-esi wee na-esi ya. It's also a form of grassroots educative program to be able to reach out to people bụ ndị Igbo in the Igbo community anywhere. Anyị cha na-share nnọọ ife anyị na-amụta ka anyị wee na-aga ọka o si wee dị. Nke today ga-adịkwa ka o si adị before. Ịmagoro nkata anyị adabụ anyị na-discriminate. Anyị nwere language eji akpa nkata in particular. Ọ bụrụ ịma asụ Igbo, if you know how to speak Igbo, feel free to speak Igbo. If you know how to speak English, feel free to speak in English. If you know how to work it on, mix it up. It's Igbo. That's okay. As long as we understand each other, that's all that matters. Yes. So, and because let everybody know about this conversation. Feel free to please help us share this space, tweet this space, share it on your WhatsApp. Share it on your DM, share it on your other platforms, wherever you think that people are following you, where they will find this link when you share it. Please help us to extend this so that people will know that we have started this conversation. The easy way to do it is just they'll share. You click on the share and then you see the tweet. You see this space and you just retweet it or tweet it, whichever you choose. It works for us. Ọzọkwa bụrụ na anyị na-eme live stream of this conversation. We are trying to expand our audience. We're trying to reach more people with what we are doing. So for that reason, we are live streaming on other platforms, including YouTube at Kunye-Media and on Facebook at Kunye Media Official. When we can reach people in other places, maka na ọbụrụ ọsọ ndị Twitter ga na-enweta ife anụ anyị na-ekwu maka na nkata dị anyị nnukwu mkpa and ife anyị na-etinye na Erika. Today we don't have any special guest. Today everybody who is concerned about kids is a special guest. So anyị ncha ga-akpa nkata anụ a mana anyị ga-akpa ya in a very fluid way like we tried last Saturday. It didn't work very well because it was a kind of a surprise. Everybody had to go used to comment on Twitter space and you just wait. We're trying to make it more fluid. We're trying to make it more organic. And we experimented with that last Saturday. It worked a little bit. Some people protested, but change also today because that's how we're going to make this conversation more interesting. That's how we're going to make this show more entertaining and more engaging as well. Be able to save time so that together on a more interesting. In fact, there was a space we did on Sunday last week we were just celebrating Flavor's concert and then talking about the experience and then the music industry in Igbo. And that was how we had it. It was just fluid. Uche, Anambra first son, Uche Okoye, was part of the conversation. And it was very smooth. Nobody raised their hand to say, I want to talk or anything like that. People just coming and grab the mic and just join us. So we'll try that again today and see. Yeah, so Priscilla, I want them. Get one.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Today is another day, right?
Yes, sir.
Go, my brother. All right. Good evening, everyone. You're welcome to the spaces. Chuka, welcomed everybody, but then still welcome again. I'm Priscilla Amadi, your service cultural evangelist. And Anomga Ikumaka, this very, very unique conversation. Okay, Chuka.
Yes, sir. Very, very unique.
Yes. You know what interests me about this thing is, in the modern world, how do we combine, challenges, the unique challenges and opportunities experienced, to navigate that balance between preserving cultural identity, and adapting to contemporary realities. That balance. Oh, it's not easy, but I love what's going on right now. For me personally, I think it's getting better. But yes, we'd like to hear from everyone too.
Yes, sir. That one them. Yes, Odoguna Canada.
Chuka, my own brother. One them Kekwan.
Udodin. Oh, and you know what
No, to go. I did not miss gum this so much of this episode, but it's glad to be back.
I miss go too.
Yeah,
Deo.
honestly, I know the last part of summer, the ending of summer. So I get waste more time in not participating things like this and more of our species. But today will not a very interesting one because you have an ambassador marker, children, raising children. I think is very important, especially for us as Igbos, for our people, for our culture, for the longevity of things like that. So all the non kind of open forums for discussions about it. So it's great for fathers, aspiring fathers. A lot of people, whether you're go to here, you go to a grandfather self. Please join the conversation because wisdom is important in conversations like this. Let's start from some experiences the modern way go because I'm a dad. I have 3 children of my own. The environment in a raising had a very different environment from a raising, where I was brought up. So I'm really looking forward to sharing some of my own personal experiences too, and then learning a lot too. Because when it comes to raising children, we tap from so many sources. You learn a lot because knowing you automatically are born with that experience. It's one of those things you have to go through it to learn, right? You have to live the experience sometimes to learn. Oftentimes, you also can learn through, associations of people around you, or cousins or friends, raising children. But it's different from going through that experience yourself because, it tells you a whole different story. So I'm now excited for today's episode, today's conversation. So I think it's going to be interesting. Again, a very social conversation, this time around raising children. So, let's proceed.
Daalụ nwanne m. Anyị so na ndị guest speaker taa. Ya agwa anyị ka o si agalụ gị.
Etinyekwana m na hot seat, biko.
But nke bụ eziokwu bụ na ife anụ a, o nwekwana ife dị n'ife anụ a, ọ dịkwa ya dị ka ịnya bicycle, onye ọbụla ma anya bicycle ma anya bicycle.
Na
Because
mana
ị chọrọ
ebe ọrụ nọkwa n'ahịa ahụ Chuka, ime ha ahụ ụmụ gị na-asụ sopre na-agaghị ike. And it will just be very terrible. Ọ dịkwa easy o. It's not easy at all.
Atọ. Mụ amụkwa na ọ dịrị izi. Ife nji agwalụ ka esi etu azụ agwa ya bụ na achọrọ nke obi ghara ịtụ ya ikwu uche ya maka na ọ na-anya bicycle. Onye ọbụla anya moto na-anya bicycle ma anya moto ma anya bicycle. So o nwere ihe dị ka na too bad na ebu's a terrible parent. Ya ga na-ekwesị bụ how well are you doing your own and what is your own style and then is it working for you? Because the truth is that the reason why we call it the changing, or in a modern world, I could have called it the changing world. That's another way to put it. Is the fact that everything has evolved. The family dynamics has evolved. The shape of the family, the purpose of the family is also evolving. The design of the family is evolving. Parenting, so we are energy because I don't know what it before. In fact, I'm like you sometimes when I come into forums like this, I am tempted to ask the question, what is the value of a child? What is the value of the Igbo child? Eventually, I do that question, Buna. Before now, in the times of Nai and Naifa, it was a different philosophy. It was as if bearing children was a form of making investments. Like, not just investment, to some extent, it was as if children were assets. You know what an asset is? Something you invest into with expectations of getting a return, especially in financial terms, right? This was the idea to some extent. That's what we perceive from the stories we've heard, from the things we observed. That's why for Nyamota 12, for Nyamota 10, for Nyamota 7, 9, Or they can see now the more you have, the more wealthy you are. Not because you have wealth. Even I normally get here in this modern world, when you 10 to the it wasn't about how rich you were. It was just about how you want to do it. Whether you worked for them, I don't know how much you worked for them because I wasn't around them. But one thing I knew was that one of the things that was particular about this was that a lot of people lost their children. Like here, Mota, maybe 10 children or 9 children. when you look into the family and ask questions, you realize that out of that 10, the 10 have only fallen for. Now, on the whole, the woman who bore these kids probably had 13 kids or even more, and probably lost like 2 or 3. Ụfọdụ nwere ike bụ na ọ nwere nke ọ nwụrụ ebe the 1 year old or 2 years old or even 4 years old. And then nwekwa ndị nke a mụrụ fa nwụọ ka a mụrụ fa ozugbo, because oge ahụ, medical science had not permitted ala Igbo so much. It's the same thing with other African countries anyway. So ụmụaka oge ahụ, if I don't remember my own grandmother's experience, I felt so bad for her. Like, I was asking questions. I asked my dad, I asked my uncle. And if I call them and if we say no, I've already some of them said, hi. I put myself in the shoes of my grandmom, and I imagine this. So this is what a lot of mothers went through. Like, before even 10, or even 20, or they can see from the world the end. But these people were experiencing this thing like 3 times in a lifetime before Pamusio Mwaka, So the idea, the perception of kids was different then, Imota 7, it's most of your efforts in the first one and the second one, maybe third one, making sure that Pajalo school. Then they start helping the other ones. And then hopefully every other person will go and do well. Then all of them will give them no. But now it's almost the other way. It's like you're living your life toiling, doing everything you can to be able to generate enough income to be able to invest in your children and give them the best life possible, give them the best opportunities, give them the chance to outdo you and outlive you and experience life that is of higher quality than what you have experienced or what you're experiencing. So everything is moving towards itinye no market. It's still investment, but I don't think most people in this age are expecting returns in that sense. If at all, what I would call a return they would expect is that this person brings pride to me. This person does well in the society, gives us a good name, or at least sustains the good name that we have built for this family, and be able to sustain or continue the legacy of the family if there's anything that the family has built. So it's more of a bragging right thing. It's more of something about pride than that of returns in terms of finances. So if I turn in how is it working now? Since we have made this transition, it's as if we have completed the transition. I'm not sure, but there are challenges, too many challenges.
Now, for me, Nachuka,
me,
right, what I would like us to really look at is how, as an Igbo child in an Igbo modern world, how you are still able to remember how to speak Igbo. Look at us. Speaking English.
You put this thing from the bag.
Because now,
yes,
now with this whole Jackpot syndrome now, right?
Yes.
People have now in Afukwa, all those Igbo children, the mixture 9 and home for the past 2 weeks. Igbo Indian, Igbo Pakistan, Igbo, I didn't hide So at the end of the day, actually, I would love to hear about cultural preservation. And now looking, see Sir Chris, because Narayan Mark. In the talking about your kids, we want to hear today own.
Yes, so
we'd love to hear from you as well. Amazing people.
Great. We will look at how this, how this is working for those in Nigeria. First of all, those in the southeast, then those outside the southeast within Nigeria, and then those in diaspora. And then I could foreigners, either non-Igbos or non-Nigerians, like in the on the African Americans, Europeans, Arabians.
He may pay that one.
because these are part of the things we're experiencing. When you are married to somebody who is from a different culture entirely, with Japan or Thailand, she has her own culture, you have your own culture, you're trying to bring your lives together. The kids are the ones who actually face this thing that you might call confusion, but they might find it interesting. So and what is working for you? What are your challenges? What are you looking forward to? What do you believe in? are the ways to tackle or grapple with this challenge, this transition challenge. So request the mic. Feel free to request the mic and join us in this conversation. Casey.
Yeah, and as usual, Biko, mobile at the space, Ghana the comment section. Deputy your question, deputy your suggestion. I promise you, I'm not web MJ. I'll make good day of it, okay? I will
Yes,
read it
sir.
for you no matter what
Yes,
you
sir.
write.
Yes, sir.
So
And I want to say that you don't have to be a parent to be part of this conversation. You know, some people actually invested in this field, and when they training itself, some people are offering training itself for parents in this area. Like they're trained, they do research, they understand child psychology, they understand behavior science to the extent that they can actually coach people on how to be effective as parents. You know, things to observe, things to understand about children, especially these modern children. Because oh my God, children, hey, oh my God, bro, we find on even buying on my parent. Yeah,
street.
Chineke. Obele nwa na-esi m anya. Jụọ m, where is your mother? Because nne m anwụgo. Obele nwa na-esi m anya, nwa na-elube 5 years na-esi m anya, sị m, where is your mother?
How did you call Jorogen now?
This is my niece, so I said, where is your mother? You see how she's no more alive. Maybe
maybe she wants to report you to your mother.
What is her name? Asking her mother, I said, what is that? The level of curiosity. I said, what is her name? And what were the name? The girl looked away from me and smiled. I had goosebumps on my hands. I was like, you know the hand I'm with myself. I'm telling you.
You can call your mother Yoruba here.
These are the kind of I'm telling you, these are the kind of experiences we have. You know, like this. Just enjoy. I was thinking, do you want more? 5 years. I was thinking, do you want more? These are the things we didn't do when we were kids. So it can't be the same experience. It can't be the same experience. Casey, I'm going to find you. I'm a lot of that experience already. On your side already.
Animal water, as in since I'm now because a lot of these experiences are not relatable. But at least one before we don't get not very careful to the extent because I try to put down child protection services are there. And then I see cases again. It's again cases. So Iman. It's a good Igbo. I got translate here. I will translators these days. So you got to be very careful.
To get you got another translation. To get to the person.
Nonetheless, again, I think it's very interesting. Very, very interesting conversation. Iman, when it comes to raising children in general, or don't know is either through experience or through stories you've heard or relationships you have with people who raise children. But for me, raising an Igbo child, the imperative and the not different in a way because, again, depending on environment, to me personally, I find now, and again, I went psychological research to back this up, that we as parents tend to raise children how we were raised. And I see it a lot to myself. I always try to raise my kids how I was raised. To mom, how we're all brought up is exactly what I try to mirror. And sometimes you relearn, you unlearn certain things. Okay, what are the things that worked? Well, how can I fine tune things and make things a bit different? You learn from experience anyway. You have to be able to do that because, you're a rational human being. That was good then, that will still be good today. So you have to tell the differences, but they're not important. But for me, here the important, especially in the environment and raising an Igbo child, but identity. Identity is very, very important. That's why from the onset, I got my wife now. All our children must bear Igbo names. And one of them, and his name is Joel. or his name is Francis, or his name is, you have to bear Igbo names. It's a part of your identity. The next day, state so they already know you are an Igbo just by your names. And I find that we undermine this a lot in Nigeria. I don't know why. I'll give you a good example based on my personal experience. Okay, I know my daughter. My daughter was born in Nigeria because then we were trying to process a visa application for my wife, Ibia here in where it wasn't done on time. Not that it wasn't done on time, but it wasn't approved. For some reason, they felt like, oh my, close ties in Canada. So she wasn't going to come back. So they wanted her to use a permanent route as opposed to visa route. So they declined the application. Our daughter ended up being born in Nigeria. Now, okay, I'm on my daughter. I had clear instructions that were given that my daughter's name would be Kaira Aluchi. Kaira. My passport here, that's how it's going to be. Her birth certificate, that's how it's going to be. Clear, Kaira Aluchi. I want an Igbo name, I want it visible. I have to organize that. Simple and clear. So everything was done. Went through that phase. Oruzie for passport application. So, my wife went and did all of the. So, was my wife on the phone? How did it go? Fine. How was everything? So now, they ended up putting her second name, Kiona, as the first name. Naisha Bakan. Kiona as the first name. Why? How? So, no girl there that the women, the immigration officers, they were insisting, how can you give her this name? That the English name has to be the first name. And English. So apparently, it's a pattern in Nigeria. Again, I stand to be corrected. I'm not wrong, but it tends to be that most people use the English name as their first name.
More than I suspect in sabotage.
Exactly. You understand? So
passport.
I was livid, like I was like, how is that possible? So it ended up being that the Kiona was the first name, then the Kaira was the second name before the last name. Just because I ain't got time, the passport was already done. See, let's just use this. And now we're working on actually reversing that. It is the second name as the first name. So back to it. To me, identity is important. Reasonably butcher. Actually, knowing who you are is very important in the journey of life. Knowing where you come from is very important. Wherever you find yourself, you can trace your roots back. See, Nebensi, is important. Identity is very, very important. So I raise my children to have that as an identity, their names. Then other things come into play. The cultural aspect of it, beyond the name, the food, Iman, children of these days, Indomie children, noodles, mba. In a local apple, a coffee like, what are the soups? So we tend to make sure that from a very young age that they get used to this food. My youngest now, he's 2 years old. How that we are pound or that we are swallow. Daddy, I want swallow. On a go to school in early in the morning, I say, Daddy, I can swallow. Swallow. They make early in the morning. Maybe late at night, dinner we can have swallow. Start with flakes, cornflakes or something. So we've imbibed in them to value the cultural aspect of the Igbo person, especially from one, your identity, your name, the food you now consume, or the important.
Now we could go for that boy. I don't know they no wonder. The boy went through son of the soil.
Swallow.
Because Nyamotara can learn about dress school. That's an ancestor.
No, Jidenna, but no, Yana swallow. That Jidenna only was swallow. It just ain't changing no you just swallow. He likes it, unlike okra soup and all of that. And same with my daughter as well. And my oldest, they all like Nigerian Igbo food, And then the language, the important. The language, personally, I don't feel, we're actually slacking because as busy as it seems, not difficult. Not that it's difficult, but I don't think we've put in so much effort because I've seen a lot of people do it. The importance of the language can never be overemphasized, especially at a very young age. On the norma, kahana Igbo, no matter how small, to pick up the little things, and it starts from us as parents. It starts from us. Because oftentimes, when my phone knows some of these diasporan kids, they grow up and then they talk about their experiences, how now that they are grown as adults, and I don't know, maybe they go outside with some of their friends or something like that, or maybe even with their parents, for example, their parents are not saying, you can't speak Igbo, or try and speak Igbo at this adult age. And then I say, at this age, it's okay, can be those who be Igbo. You didn't make the effort to imbibe it in me when I was younger. You didn't make the effort to teach me while I was younger. As a kid, I can't try, you make the effort. It's much harder. So if we can start early, it's also very important. To me, all the more important. And which is why part of the plans are anyway. But at some point, my mom is late. At some point, my mother-in-law is going to come and stay for a long time. Due to Gabon, no, these kids have to learn Igbo. We design the curriculum. Whatever has to happen has to happen. And we've also talked about certain things too that might come into play. This might not work for every family. People might design their family obviously as different as they want it based on their own personal needs and their objectives. But personally for us, I think there's a need for a Nigerian touch in our children. We've talked about possibly even bringing them back to spend some time. Maybe it might be through, a boarding school or somewhere where they can actually learn how to speak Igbo by just being around other kids. Now, again, this might not work for every family, might not work for every parent, but it's something my wife and I we've talked about that might be a possibility down the road. Because again, language, very important. So that's that. But the big challenge with an environment for us is peculiar because everybody the different from everybody raising and you want that. So you have to look around and see what's the environment surrounding your children and what's the ideology around that environment surrounding your children. I was raised in a Christian home, in a family home. Parents were Catholics, heavily involved. My mom was at some point the head of the CW, na Port Harcourt, na church in Nigeria. My dad was also fully involved in the church system as well. Now, in this environment, Christianity is well proclaimed, as everybody in Nigeria. You can spend time, as a matter of fact, people are well on a Sunday self. Well, whereas in Nigeria, growing up, Sunday was reserved in the morning, no excuse. Kwado, Jaboka, come back and then take care of whatever you have to take care of. In this environment, depending on, again, it's not really that much. It's not really that pronounced. But you have to make conscious effort to make sure that you raise your children in a Christian way. All the important because there's a need for that moral upbringing. And I think that's what Christianity does on a basic level. And then they can decide to chase, whatever route they decided based on their faith. But I think it gives them that moral standard for them to stand on. And especially in a society like there's been a heavy backlash. And I think this has started probably over the last 5 years or thereabout. Now, Western societies, and in Nigeria, you probably see it. I want to be careful about how I say this, but we've seen a lot of people transition from sending their children to public schools to private schools, especially Christian private schools here. Because not only has the quality of education dropped in some instances, but also the materials that are being taught has changed a lot, especially for a religious person. Maybe I didn't know careful what is being fed to your child. Because if you think about it, your child spends so much time in school than they even spend with you. So they stand a higher chance of being influenced by some of those materials and at school, the people they engage with, which a matter of background has, you don't know, oftentimes, the ideology of their own parents and how they believe. So we're careful from that perspective. How can we make sure that we're careful about who our children interact with? Mahalo go to school. So it's easy, but there's
a constant effort. And for you to make that effort, there's need to be constant presence. There's need for constant presence. Because I might say that we have to raise our children how we were raised. We just have to raise our children how it makes sense in this environment, in this modern world. And I think a lot of it means presence, being there. Because you will observe better, and then you can know how to go about making some of those changes you desire to raise a very good human. Yeah.
Casey, one of the ways I look at this thing is one of the areas I thought we should look at about this thing is how we discipline our children. I remember when the first time I saw a father, I brought one movie can now. Even when we heard it in Hollywood, they find out from Nigeria. First time for a father boni ibem, also where come na lepa from where, but can skin laugh from where bo Obinna. I say Obi, I'm so sorry. Is it Did I just hear that? My mother singing all the sorry.
Yeah.
Or my father singing all the sorry. Unless my father is for Balapataginaro.
Yeah.
My father singing up a mistake, Camelo. This one is a mistake.
Yeah. Our parents had to apologize. They rarely apologize. I can't remember too, my dad, he said, no, I'm sorry. I said, like, they don't apologize. How were their own ways of apologizing? Maybe he go telling you something or, taking you somewhere, but they just never use that word.
What do you think is the reason?
Culturally, though, honestly, I'm married, but I believe that we're not very strong and dominant culture, and our culture places strong hierarchy on a societal level. It's not a parent has to be a parent. Friendship either involved.
Authority is authority.
Is a parent.
Uncompromised.
That's all it is. So all that power dynamics at play that makes them know you're a subordinate. Don't say sorry for what. Move on with life. That's how it is. But
that kind of thing, in case you give you come on, get out.
Move on. It's tough love. You want that all tough love, because at the end of the day, in life, you face a lot of those things. Sometimes you face a lot of those things. So they kind of prepare you to be able to handle it. That toughness.
I agree.
I agree. Us, or they just couldn't just apologize, because it's not as if they said, this is a life lesson. They just cannot think of apologizing to you at that point. Period. It's a life lesson.
More they feel when they have power tussle, because to some extent, ego is involved. Ego is involved. The day my mother told me that she's sorry, I can't remember the word, but it sounded like, of course, I'm sorry. Something. As an old man, I can't go if I get maybe.
Or they'll put one extra meat in your plate if you like.
That is for sure. There's a compensation coming. But my father will not apologize to you. Unless my father will apologize to you. Who are you?
I also think it's what they know. The time we're in now, everything is fast. Social media, everything. So people are learning, unlearning. So as of that time is what is passed from generation to generation. Now you're not good. That generation passing is now diluted, because now you have social media, you have global. The world is smaller than it was during their own time. So you're learning different things. You understand? So I think that's where we are right now. I'll give you an example. When I just moved to abroad, first job, I went to, so I got my first job. We did, there's something they call C1 Do 1, where your supervisor follows you to see how you perform in the field, right? And after that, they now evaluate you based on that. And then at the end of the day, I now said, how did I do? And she said, well, you did everything right except one thing. And I don't know why you keep doing that. And I said, what was it? And she said, you never look anybody in their eyes.
Wow.
And I said, well, that's how we were raised. She said, wow, it doesn't show confidence.
Which is
but growing up, you don't look your elders in their eyes. Well, from where I'm so things like this is something we have to. And another issue, because I've heard a few takes here, and I agree with the last speaker and most people. But another thing is that we also have to learn to unlearn certain things. Another example, right? Growing up, you were scared to tell your parents anything because, so you either internalize it or join a cult or something. You go do your stuff. You understand? Look for that thing.
Just figure it out. Just figure it out yourself.
You understand? Exactly. But here, for me, with my kids, I want them to be able to be free to tell me what is bothering them. That way I can solve it, because if not, someone else will solve it out there and you don't know the intentions of that person. You want that? So again, like I said, I think it's something we have to learn and unlearn certain things and then adapt. But one thing I agree with the last person is that cultural identity, you understand, of where you're from, especially if you're out of the country. It is very, very important. You get? It's very, very important that we do that and we hold on to that, because also that gives you an identity, and that identity comes with some sort of a big boost of confidence. You understand? So anyway, that's my little take there.
Kanjwagi, do you think that this thing, what you said now, it struck a chord? Before I ask you this question, I just want to let everybody know we're having a fluid, organic conversation. So if you have the mic, feel free to come in strategically at some point and just join the conversation, bring in your own point. We want to make it fluid. So nobody needs to raise their hand. We may not have to call your name. If I want to throw a question at you, that's a different thing. But just know that you see how Bufo joined. I was waiting for him to say something in Igbo. Condition no Igbo by kind of.
But talking about what you said before I joined CHIJ. You see how I just butted in without saying, "Oh, hold on, I didn't even wait for the person to finish." I like
talking. That.
That's another thing that I have to consciously, when I'm at work, because I'm so used to I not to adjust on whatever. So now I now have to consciously, because for some people it's rude. I now have to remind myself, okay, you just don't button. So anyway, ask your question.
Yeah. I think it's about the environment. If it's because in Qatar is like let me use the word equals. We may not be equals. Some are way older. Like Cyclis is way. It's like old enough to be our father here, but we're like equals. We're not in a work environment, and we are just having a conversation like friends or like an association of people, just having a light conversation that is meaningful. So we want to do it that way so that it's smoother, it's fluid, and at the same time, more organic, and at the same time more intelligent, because that's how you get a natural conversation. That idea of waiting for one person to talk. Sometimes when you put a loop, when they repeat his own, because not enough. Not to go
on our 5 minutes,
yeah. But if somebody butts in, sometimes the person could even inspire you. You come back again and just, and we're learning it actually. It's not perfect, but we've tried it on Sunday and it worked. It worked very well. So if I knew now, it opened up something. You said that the people said that you don't look in their face. And I remember those days. Okay, and you don't look in his eyes. My father taught us differently. My father taught us, don't let anybody intimidate you, no matter who the person is. No matter what the person is saying to you, look them in the eyeball. Look them in the eyeball so that they don't think you are scared, so that they don't feel like you can't face them. That way they realize this one is ready for me. No matter who it is. But it's a different it's a different case. So I want to ask you, do you think that this has a lot, the way we were raised? Because this also comes into the issue of asking questions. There are questions we can't ask. We couldn't ask our parents. We couldn't ask elders around us. Do you think this has a lot to do with the way we face our leaders when it comes to accountability, demanding good governance in every area, not just in government, but everywhere in leadership, even in the church and school?
It does. It does, in my opinion. And I'll give you another example, right?
Yeah.
So my Igwe does this, I think, quarterly, what they call it, town hall meeting. So I came on a town hall meeting. I came on the first one and I questioned him on a few things. Came on the second one, questioned him on a few things. My father said I should start coming to town meetings. So I think it does. Personally, you understand? So since then, I don't go to town meetings because I'm becoming very controversial in the town hall meetings. So I think it does. You understand? It does affect the way we are able. You're not kind of brought up, even though it wasn't said, but I think we're kind of brought up not to challenge authority or not to question authority. You could not tell your dad anything. You understand? You couldn't tell him, oh, why did you do this? You understand? Even now, it takes effort for me to even question him on a few things. You understand?
And the part that is very upsetting, right? The part that is very upsetting is the fact that sometimes you're not even challenging them. The truth sometimes can be so bitter. It seems like it's an insult because you even had the audacity to ask, and then it just comes out like when you just ask a question and they know they've been caught in a loop. Next thing you just hear is, why are you talking to me like that? Don't you have elders in your village? That is how they escape, accountability. But then there are other examples. But I think was it Mary? Mary wanted to speak. Mary, please go on.
Yeah,
I was just saying that was funny enough. I think I had a dad who is late now, but he encouraged me to study. So I owe literally the fact that, I don't consider myself the average Igbo woman, and that's entirely my father. He allowed me just be me. And what that meant was that I could question people, I could question him. He allowed me question him. He allowed me say, this doesn't work. My mom doesn't particularly like that, but I realized as I grew older that we have the same temperament, so that's why we're both choleric, so it's crazy, right? But in time, as I grew older, she sort of understood why. Because I'll say, I don't like what you're doing, and you can't do this. And so because my dad allowed me to do that, and I find that with my siblings, when I look back, it's not exactly the same. I'm not sure why he did that with me. I can't tell anybody why, but I realized that I wasn't afraid. So, and this is about how you engage with elders. I remember at my previous workplace, it was a constant cause for tension because I didn't understand why I couldn't tell you the truth. What are you going to do? You're going to pay my salary. Maybe you can decide not to promote me or decide not to pay me a big bonus, but my salary, we can't take it. So I knew I sort of can relate to that, but I think that it can be learned, and I think it can be taught. And I constantly am helping my nieces and my nephews do that. I think it's a better way. People, they may not like you, but they will respect you. And I think I just rather that respect. You can keep your likeness. You're not putting money in my pocket. And one of the things that my dad did in terms of just helping me build that, you can talk to anybody, whoever it is. So I don't really have a fear in that sense of anybody. What are you going to do? You don't feed me, so what exactly are you going to do to me? One of the things he did was encourage me to study. So he would say, oh, there's news at 7, so you have to watch. When we say had NTA, so I'll watch NTA, and I'll tell him what they said. I wasn't always correct, but I knew I had to watch NTA, so when he comes back, I'll tell him what they said at news at 7. And I had to read the papers, and then he introduced me to my first books. So that's sort of how I fell in love with reading, my profession. So I don't have that sort of experience in the sense of being afraid of elders. Respect, yeah, afraid no. And that's just my dad's influence. I'm not sure my siblings are like that, but so I can't really relate to being afraid of elders. Like, what are you going to do? Can't beat me. I can tell you what I want to tell you. But I think that one of the things we can do in terms of how we raise kids, and that's something I'm involved in apart from my professional work, is paying attention. I want to sort of speak to the person Casey, I believe, who has spoken about his experience with raising kids. Brother, one of my friends just moved to Canada and was the same concern she had. So one of the things I recommend is that you find alternative materials that you and your spouse would use at home. There are a couple of materials I think that are helpful. One is the Human Dignity Curriculum. Now, what these materials do is teach your child how to reason and how to think and how to take information they have gotten and weigh it against what I will call lifelong principles and think, does this make sense? And so I'll start with emotions, for instance. It's easy. Somebody gets hurt, you're crying, you're throwing a tantrum. So one of the things that one of the materials I use, Human Dignity Curriculum, does is help you understand what emotions are and truly can be regulated. So it then means that when you see somebody behaving a bit madly, you can realize this person hasn't mastered the art of regulating their emotions. So whatever they're doing doesn't make sense. You're able to sort of interrogate, worldviews against your own worldview. So it's a start early, but I think it's doable regardless of where you live, even though I agree it's harder for those of you who live outside the shores, but also to find groups. Unfortunately, I don't really share the same views about names. I'm very keen on my English name. It's a Saint name. I'm very keen on Saint names, so unlikely ever that I'll ever use my Igbo name as my first identity. I default to my Saint name. But yeah, interesting conversation.
Mother Mary.
Saint Mary.
Mother Mary.
We need to actually have saint names. I don't know Kendi, but why is it only Kendi Europe kind of saints? Or some Europe were saints because
I think also that one of the most important things, especially for people who are outside the shores of Nigeria, is being present. Because the society makes it very hard for you to be present. Because some of us have two jobs or something, both parents are out of the house. And then you find out that most of whatever your kids learn is learned from school. So my kid now goes to school one of my kids go to school from 7:30 to probably 4, right? And then what time do they come back and go to sleep to go to school tomorrow? And then maybe you have weekends. That's if one person is not working on weekends. You understand? So you need to be present for the most part, because then you're able to shape that child's views. You get? Or else someone else will shape those views for you.
No one continue on a bit. Thank you, my brother. What you just said, Boizioku. I'm humble chi. Enwem 4 children. I'm thankfully enwem dim muna na zoom wine. So sorry, I'm gonna just say this in English so I can be well explicit. I apologize ahead of time.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead.
Like my brother just said, you need to be present. Whether you like it or not, umwaka, they will have to learn something. Particularly between birth and age 14, you have to be very intentional. Nothing like I'm just gonna pray and wish my children to be good. When my children low the age of Ibuda, I generally didn't like daycare. But sometimes nearly I can't know. So I tried my best to have a nanny in the house instead of people when I JK, because at that age, what can I learn is so many things from their peers and whoever the adults are around. So I taught them that culture from the beginning, which is not a bad thing. I know nobody able to, just like a lot of Fianam in America. So the first few years, okay, well, in school. I'm a Catholic, so for me, I do not against anything the public school is trying to teach, because at the end of the day, they're trying to be neutral. Like there are very various beliefs out there, so you can't impose one culture over the other. So I understand their stand, but as a Catholic, amamna, ifin gwadim, it's not about having a very smart and intelligent child or beautiful children. At the end of the day, if you don't have that moral upbringing, everything is useless. If you don't have a good heart, it's useless. And it's hard to teach people to have a good heart when they're adults. So at the beginning, watch the school. So because of that, I need to in a Catholic school in a decent neighborhood. Again, like Casey, my brother said, environment matters. So not just any school. You get local, because your neighbors are also there. The school environment, so it's here when a Catholic school, where at least at home you teach them certain values, your culture, and at least you know that they're going to reinforce that moral upbringing, not just because the truth is that sometimes the public school system, it depends on maybe the zip code, they have way better resources and better teachers. But for me, Ogewa Pempe, they don't need to be too smart. They don't need to go to the best school. They just need to have that moral upbringing. So for me, that was very important. I can't compare the Catholic school and the public school system. No, the public school system is way better in terms of resources. Man, because the morality, they're very important for me. Their upbringing, Imali Fedi right from left, at least in my own way as a Christian and a Catholic, we had to invest that money. Sometimes people look at all of this, oh, this money, why will I be paying for private school when I have good schools around me? My brothers and sisters, because at the end of the day, the future is what determines if the money is wasted or not. And you would know when you are doing the right things. The other thing I thought was very important, Afa Dinkpa. My daughters, at least, anyway, Afa came, Yabo, Ikechukunyem. Then my second one is Ife Chukude. I did that for a purpose, Maka. I will not be here today to come and tell them where they are from. Actually, maybe Ebob Nawa Afa it's important to me. Maka Echi di me ma Echi. I can't be here to be explaining where they are from, but onye know Afa Wagamana Wabo Igbo. And secondly, my boys, I contemplated Monadim, I contemplated anywhere Afa Igbo. But sometimes it's more difficult for the male. I don't know about it, this is my experience. Being a person of color is already I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but you're already kind of disadvantaged because you're a minority. Then being a black child, a black son, or a black male is another one. So I intentionally gave my boys their first name were, of course, Catholic names first of all, because they were all baptized. But ATM, they are English as their first name. But ATM, their Igbo name, and I spelt it out. And I call them that their Igbo name a lot of times at home. So that's why Igbo, even though their first name is English. So my daughters have Nkem and Ifechi as their first name in their birth certificate, but my sons have the Godwin and Edwin and now their birth certificate. But I call them Mfuwa, the way I will even say it. They will understand that I'm saying something, and they understand the meaning of their names. They understand the meaning of their names, so that when people ask them to explain, when they go out there, they know that their names are not just a random name, only a deep meaning. So I let them know from time. Then, I talked about the school and their naming. Then the food. My children, they know how to eat every other food, but that's their Nigerian food. When I like yashine, even when we go to Nigeria, they'll be like, where do you, even amala, everything in Nigeria eats. Ofe ewedu, ofe onubu, ofe egusi. They eat it. When I realized what I was doing was one day, and Monsieur Ofe, a lot of soup in the hot, but one day I not come back from work on time. By the time I got back, my 9-year-old already made the utara. I was shocked. He said he saw soup in the freezer and he felt like eating fufu. He made it himself. I said, how did you learn? He said, I see you making it all the time, so I tried it. It turned out well to him and he ate it. So the culture is very important to me when I'm thinking of upbringing, and everything has to be intentional. The other statement, one in Wokeku about you have to be there. You have to be there. I know sometimes we want to make as much money as you want, but at the end of the day, money is not everything. And I have been so intentional with my husband. We have to be there, otherwise someone will teach them. You can never be 100% perfect, but you have to put in all your effort, So I made sure weekends, it doesn't matter what I do, weekends, because I have to spend time with my children. I shall wake up, they are seeing me. As they are sleeping, they are seeing me. I do my Lord double. I'm not a rich person, but to me, I know that time I'm spending with them. And how you know is when you go anywhere, people will tell you, come, what are you doing different? What are you doing different? Your children are so different. That's when you know that all those things, those energy you are putting behind the scene, it's working because people are seeing how your children behave. They're like, are you sure you raised them here? Yes, I did raise them here. But you have to be here. They're not going to be perfect kids, but at least you're giving them good weapon, good upbringings. So when they become adults, Wagama Ebowasi Pota from. And I make effort to try to take them to Nigeria as much as I can, even if it's every other year. They mix with other people. I'm not lucky to be raised by my own biological parents, and some of us want to raise our children the way our parents raise us. But I think that when you turn out good, that's when you want to do that. But when you are not raised by your parents, you have no clue what they would have done different. But you know how you don't want your kids to be raised because of some of your childhood experience. So you try to avoid all of that. Ebe one eme a lot of fun.
On we friend nature kini ekwu ife anyị na-ekwu. Ịmana ị ka ga-ekwukwa okwu so ka anyị bie ya mana I have to say this, I really enjoy the dialect iji ekwu okwu a. I don't know anybody kwuru okwu in this dialect on this show.
Exactly.
The last 20 episodes. Kai, I was like, when I saw Sonante, Okweka.
Oh, Asaba. And I did not learn it growing up. I forced myself to learn it as an adult. And that's one weakness I have as a parent. I wish I could teach my children. Manaina, it's like you're doing cut and join. It's hard to teach somebody when yourself you're still struggling to understand.
Because I mean, you were able to express yourself very well on this conversation. You're not in a struggle. I'm telling you, if they can speak as well as you do, you are your way. You've already gone far. They can then do the same thing you did and pick it up from, as in learn by themselves too, just the same way you learned by yours. Because I mean, even over there, you do it in Nigeria. That's a lot of effort. Because
my first daughter told me one day, Mommy, can you teach me? I said, hey, Mom, I will find a way to teach you, but we have to look for. Sometimes when you talk about them in Igbo and they know that we're talking about them, one day my second daughter threatened me, saying she and her daughter will go and learn Spanish and they'll be talking about me and their father.
But I mean, if you both speak Igbo in the home, that's enough foundation for them to be able to learn Igbo now.
So that's the problem. You're putting me on the spot. That's what I'm speaking.
But
but we try. Every time we say we have he's even worse than me, but
because that's how it works. Only one particular woman that posts videos of her daughter on Facebook. Also, the secret that helped them to achieve this was that her husband, once they gave birth to their daughter, her husband is here. So from the beginning, the man has Igbo. So when the girl bedoes to Bezia, Papia like this. I don't know what if you knew. I don't know what if you knew. The girl will look at her father, she will be so disappointed, she will be so frustrated. She will go to her mom and ask her mom that her father can't hear what she's saying. Her mom will now ask her, what do you want to tell your daddy? She will say it in English. The mom will tell her how to say it in Igbo. She will come back to the dad and say it in Igbo. The father will now speak Igbo again. She will go, as in the thing became a very important factor for her in her learning process. And it forced her to learn how to speak Igbo. In fact, the girl I'm on a papier must speak Igbo. The girl I'm on a papier must speak Igbo, according to the mom. Because papier does speak Igbo no at all. As in, even to the wife, or that's so able to anybody in the house. So when and if you come to their house as in Nigeria, again. It may be by plan.
Chico, we enjoyed you. There's something I want to ask, and especially based on this topic.
Yeah.
Do you guys think a lot of this go based on the parents' perception per se? But oftentimes, we make the excuses for the kids ourselves. Oh, it's too difficult. Oh, because there's other languages they're already trying to learn. Or, oh, I went on time. Because the reason you put this thing, I used to be that parent. I used to think like that. And then near myself, I think it was one weekend. I say, okay, let me see if I can teach them something this weekend. Oh, just one weekend, one day about the one weekend. They learn Bia, poor. They know what to do. Poor, the easiest form. It's then 52 weekends in a year. How much can they learn? So the knocker, oftentimes, we make the excuses for them We create this perception in our mind, and then we let it hinder us.
I think it's an issue of ignorance. You know, I always tell people, if you're raising children, the same is a career. The same way you're into tech or into engineering or nursing, you go and study about the career. You go and study about how to get a job, where to get a job, the right places to get a job, how to study, how the school the same way it is just study about it, because it's something you've never done in your life. Do study continuously, because it's an ongoing process. Like my sister gonna like this or say, hi, Google it, YouTube, find a book, buy a book, or more say, chuka. Again. And that became a culture for them. You know, I know people who literally learned how to raise their kids from training. They paid for training. From their parents. So whatever. Because it's a challenge, really. I mean, especially when you are so busy with work. But if you could be a child, according to research, a child can learn 3 languages at the age of 3. In fact, 5 at the age of 4. Around the same time, their brain is able to assimilate different languages. Because something else. There are too many responsibilities that are keeping your mind busy, you know. But all those issues. I can't remember trauma yet. I can't remember I'm on a Tinubu president in Nigeria. I'm on an American election, Donald Trump, those things about immigrants, racism, they don't know about those things. Just get up, eat, go to school, come back, play, sleep. That's it. It's all the easier for them. So, more excuse, really. If you can speak the language.
Chuka.
Ganiru.
Okay. Good evening. Sorry, you were when came with Shibi can batter space, man.
Let me interrupt you a little bit. I just want to, in case you're here for the first time, this is the MONI Show. MONI is an acronym for Makao Mandi Igbo. I am with this conversation every Saturday, 8 p.m. And this is just where we come and talk about Ife Basalon Igbo, you know, share ideas, rub minds, and find solutions to the different problems and among the Igbo community. And if you love what we're doing here, please share the space. Let others know that this conversation is going on. Share it anywhere, anyhow you can. If it's retweet or tweet or the DM or WhatsApp, wherever. And if you're on the speaker panel, no need to raise your hand. Or let's get the because nobody will tell you to say anything. You just join the conversation. You see how every other person has been joining the conversation. That's how you can join too. It makes it smoother. It makes it more fluid and more organic and more intelligent, actually. Because if I know if it's already 9. And we have a very short time to go. So let the conversation continue.
Thank you, one name. Sorry, so
no.
Thank you. Ihe gbasara maka asụsụ ahụ na ahụ that na ọbụ onwe m na-asụ Owerri dialect, so nwunye m na-asụkwanụ Mbano dialect in that way, but her cross somehow. So often they get confused. They get confused. So Nacho balance to the written Igbo language, the central Igbo. On our then the place be about that now. Most children Hana on how to choose a language, because often again in a family where are they multilingual, you know, then only told ma omaka hani bidi kuku, you know, even now most especially na ebe be here na Germany, because English is not our language. Our daily language is German language. So then the German culture na here na lay emphasis on speaking your mother language to your children, even though they have to learn the German language. They really take it very, very keenly talk your that language you speak. Let your children speak it, because it will also allow them to learn faster at school when they come to school. But I see that when at home they speak a lot of, take for instance the telephone, or somebody has to pidgin English, somebody has to standard English, somebody has to Igbo. Then I'm not so Yoruba, now so Creole. That is the one spoken in Sierra Leone is like pidgin English also. So the thing on the carry, my son, he was still checking what should I speak actually now, because languages flows here, but at the end they will pick up and then concentrate on one or two. However, so then also can but onye ọbụla chọkwara ikwu okwu can interject, because na nature I'm just kaburu.
Somebody said they want to ask. If you want to ask a question, feel free to come here at one point and ask your question. Anybody can tackle it anyway. But Daniel,
so oge m na-ayọ uyi ọrụ na-ayọ, o nwere ihe ndị m na-ekwu, ọ na-atụcha m obi ọtọ, so but enweghị m ike ịbanye because ebe nọ the noisy, so na-atọchala a lot of things m chụburu ikwu, but o nwere certain things m chere itinye n'ime ya. Nke mbụ, so okay, ekwufurele, let me not draw you back. Raising the children, most especially, let me concentrate on the people in the diaspora, or the very difficult, in the sense that we are minorities wherever we are. We are not dominant there. Obona Alibo, or even in Nigeria as a whole, you see a community. I know when I was growing in Lagos, my town, had been around Ebutemeta. That's a quarry. So we even had a town hall there from my town. So we had many there. So the Igbo language was flowing there actually. But when you come to another country, you become a minority there, and it's very difficult, first of all. Then when the children get to school, they start then learning the German language. It becomes even more difficult. And most of our people here, they don't speak the German language. So there are a lot of difficulties they face. Okay, how do I help my child for the homework? And when the child has question, can I even actually read it in the German language, because they study with the German language? So these are some of the difficulties our parents here may encounter. Some areas in Chore jump, on difficulties, because most of our children here, mostly ndị Igbo to some extent, but then we carry problem ahụ ndị see from Edo State in the whole, and then Delta State, but not the Igbo speaking Delta area. Then we carry problem and Urobo people from Etsako, that is Auchi area. These are more than Ishan and the real Edo people. They are taking their children into foster home, and
sorry, who is taking their children?
That's the Ministry of Youth and Sports here. Before you know it, the school, maybe because the system here is this, that they have kindergarten, and the ones in primary school or secondary school have a facility where they go to do their homework and also do other extracurricular activities until the parents come back from work and pick them again. They can report to the Ministry of Youth and Sports when they notice some discrepancies in the behavior of the children, or injuries on the body of the children, or whatever, and they go on interviewing the children. And it is I work actually in the system, so I confront that every day. And my wife happens to be a mother language parental trainer also. So we are confronted with the whole system. And in Kenewemiwe now, I have nothing about this one now. In Kenewemiwe, there is a case. There were two cases I fought actually. There is one I'm fighting now that ha werele nwa onye Igbo onyere ya ụmụ nwaanyị abụọ n'ihi onwe ha chọghị m ịkpọ aha ya so ka dịkwa
ndị lele
ndị na-aracha efere onwe ha so
lele o
yeah.
lekwenu mo
eji nwa ya na-ekwu detin dede jekwuzie ya dị ọda kpọwazia dị kọwazia akụji.
So I also think it's very important we stay on track too, so that we don't deviate.
No, actually, this is actually very, very important too. Raising kids in Nigeria is different from raising kids in a different society.
When I say stay on track is you can tell your stories. Let's leave like where the person is from or stuff out of it. Let's just go ahead, tell the stories of what's happening so other people can learn. Because I don't want I wouldn't want it to, somebody picks this up and then becomes something else, especially with the way things are going now.
No, my brother Kangwage is always in the country where I am. We say what we want to say.
You do where you are, but here in Nigeria it's different. So that's why I say, let's not.
Yeah,
you can tell your story. I'm not stopping you from telling it, but let's not put any coloration.
I just made a reference, So, but it's okay. The issue now is this: that what happened? They find it difficult to penetrate Africa. So, the agenda now is to start from the children. So
that's really late, but okay.
They have placed themselves in some offices, and now they take the child and skip it to be at the same place. The child. So if we keep penetrate to Africa, then we start taking the children and trying to rewind them. This is my own agenda. This is my own interpretation anyway. I don't know if it is the truth. Anybody can also challenge me, but it's okay. This is what they are doing. But then why is it that they are taking the children? Number one, in one of the cases where Ebana Koma here, which most of you mentioned earlier, Eto Nena Nojo, Obuna Mwakireme ihe, Akoya ihe, in one of the cases where even Mwakira Borola Ndu Ojiga ebe mmanya domene oshisho na eji apia hotali, and how we are brought up na Igbo or can we na Nigeria, and some of them come here, they don't even want to outgrow it or unlearn from what they learned from the parents. So these are the things. Also shouting, ebe kwa one na one, there is a case I have also one na one, these are things or how one school the child only one book and a child here. Do you go to that to the pediatric doctor on time? Only levels only 1 to 12. Are you doing it? If you are not doing it, then you are neglect. You are. It is negligence. Those are the things Hannah put into consideration before Hannah may harm, and this is issue we really have to talk about because it is very very.
Dede, how since this is a challenge in certain countries, especially in diaspora, discipline, child discipline. You who understand the system and know the limits.
No.
So how do you discipline your children?
First of all, First of all, or just like Casey said also, look, there are a lot of things you have to learn now. First of all, number one, in this country, women have a lot of rights. But please, don't misuse it. Because before you came here, the law was already existing. They did not just write it for you. Thirdly, don't do anything that will bring the Ministry of Youth and Sports into our family, because if they come, they don't go out. Don't be the child.
What does it mean that they don't go out?
That is, if they come into your family, they will always remain there until the child is 18. They will be monitoring you. So,
Wow.
yeah. So now there was one thing that happened. The hospital where I'm now, and I work at the Ludwig Maximilian University here. We have what we pre-nursery school and kindergarten also. Pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. This is what we call it here. So my child started there, and my wife had to take my child 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back. The reason why I started earlier is for cultural and social issues, because I want a balance, because they are born here, they are German citizens, so I want them to have the two parts, both of them. So not if they stay alone with my wife alone, they will just focus on the Nigerian upbringing. But if it is balanced, then they become a unique person. And that is what they are, so I'm proud of them. So what actually happened was that one day my wife was on the underground. One day, Beneti. Yeah, happy on the underground. Girls which are somewhere. Then one white woman I be who is the owner of this child? And went born. He said, if you don't run now and go and take that child, I will report you to the police. And she ran, took the child. And when she came, he said, you told me. And I experienced it today. So what I actually told her is, don't be the children, because if you be the child at home, by correcting the child, if the child goes to school, if a schoolmate, pass you away, then okay, use that system beaten also. So you'll be called to school every time. The best thing is dialogue with the children, number one. And also, there is also what I call constructive engagement. That is, there are ways you talk to the child, then the child matter. You set standards, set boundaries where they cannot pass. It hasn't, I don't beat my children, but I just need to talk. They are running to do the thing, and that's the way it happens. I hold meetings with them, and then there are also things I do. Start teaching them as early as possible. In this place, I know breakfast is a traditional thing, most especially on Saturdays and Sundays when we're all at home. So we set the table, everybody will come, we sit down. I teach even at the age of 12 now, like today, before I left to work, we ate. My son, all the 12 years, he always sat to the table, prepared the breakfast, did everything, cut the vegetables and the fruits that we need. You teach them, this gives you vitamin, this is protein, this is carbohydrate. These are things you need, and other hidden elements you need to grow. And whenever you are eating, focus on that. What is the table manner? We must all sit together. What is a family? A family is a unit. One for all for one. And this is always what we say. When we pray, we end it. What is a family? The family is a unit, one for all for one. So and that happens that way. And when maybe we are out late and came back and then on a Saturday, then we do what we call brunch. That means you sleep longer, then somebody wakes up and do the breakfast, and then we eat, and then we don't eat lunch anymore. So we be eating till 1:00. And that is it. Then they divide it in here. What are your duties here? My daughter brings out the trashes to the bin where it is outside, where it is. My son, he empties the dishwasher when it is washed and also refill it again. And then when the washing machine or the dryer finishes, you either have to fold it, teach him how to fold it, place it at the cupboard, even the place, the way it should be. It is a kind of a continuous thing. And what I do is, first of all, use the system of learning by looking and learning by doing. you don't castigate the person if you don't get it right. Show the person how to do it first. Look how I'm doing it, and then do it yourself. I happen to be a mentor at the university here, so this is also the system I use. But can open on yeah.
All right. Let me jump in here, and because I will want to be a little bit official based on the topic, raising the Igbo child in a modern world.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go straight to the angle of, generally the angle of our parents way before now. When we found our parents in those days, and I want to minus the aspect of them using cane, apipia, or ekwehe. Now, what they built was ebube. I don't know if anybody understands this angle. Ebube. That's only ebube nwoke and when bia. And to a very good extent, wives back then also helped the man to build this ebube, in the sense that that alone kills you as a child. The woman could go the one or correct in any whatever form, but that word, when your father returns, it means that there is a higher authority that no one can argue except God. That's what. Sorry, my brother. Yes, obrofia in that sense, because you as a child knows that only if this man get me boom can as somewhere.
You didn't know it at that point, though. You did not know that there's no way they can kill you. You didn't know it at that point, though.
No. Subconsciously, we all know that. You understand? And out of fear, some of the children who couldn't handle it then, remember that. Try get it. But he will punish me.
I remember the Konkwo.
Yeah, he will punish me in whatever form. That ebube, yeah, I'm saying, based on this topic, raising the Igbo child in a modern way. Remember that ebube does not take away you staring. I could remember my father back then. He talks to me and I'm looking down. It's a problem. He will even beat me more against the crime that I committed, because I fought a lot when I was a little kid. I was that stubborn. Now every day, they give me name for house. One day, one problem, one day, something like that. Do you get? But you dare not.
Thank
you. Now, Gezenti, you dare not look down, because when you look down, he assumes you are cooking up lies. Look at me when I'm talking to you, so that you won't have space. Yeah, he psychologically would drill you while talking. But I found out that at my adult age, now I can't find out, say, in all of this thing, this man didn't really beat me all the time. Rather, it was just his stares, his vogues, when he stands there like, what did they say you did? Now, even while I'm standing there. And sometimes, indirectly, he praises me indirectly. He doesn't bring it to my face. He praises me indirectly when it was me fighting against the bully. Get my point. In all of us, and that's what's holding us till date. I won't lie to you, but I want to minus the aspect based on this present time and the need of this time, the flogging aspect. Yeah, when it calls for it, when they engage you, I know what I do to my own kids. I have a 21-year-old boy.
I'll come up with Nigeria. Engage with flogging.
Let me give you an instance with my brother. When I'm okay, when it tell joy, you know, Diana, whenever I say I'm your father, what I say, I'm poor police. Nkewa. Or say, okay, near ye mutia, police. He knows the implication, or don't misquote me. Yeah. He knows the implication. Or say, okay, I will do what I want to do to you. Or the police are luckily for him, this two white policemen pulled up. The boy, what did you do? And if I'm danger. The man know we are only with them. Nothing people are one of the white guys was the one who saved him. And I looked at the boy and said, if you were my own son, I would have beaten the hell out of you even before you called the police. Do you understand? So it dawned on him that I messed up. From that period that thing happened, my brother started bringing his kids home. To Nigeria. Home, and go yes, and go see case Kosiaga. Not just go see Kesiaga, and go see for more buffer. As at 23, 24, you are already a degree holder. My name is 26, name is Yopi. Yeah, what's up, man? What up? How you doing? What do you mean by that? Message for there now, and labor market. You can't what up. What do you mean by that? Then I go see for Mazi. No be call Rahaburu, Baraboy, Nigeria the formal education. Baraboy, na block. Obo no just when she on block na befa. That's Omendi Igbo. Do you know more than like less than 6 to 7 years time? Oh, what an season there bia. No rubogia block unkia. And then again, if I will not actually men on a buzz or John there, and if I actually men or the number, much of legal motor near Siamba, and he agreed. But prior to that period, it wasn't working because the mother somehow was trying to tweak things. But thank God, Chuku Abiyama Mary arrest. She now understands. Say, okay, you know, now back to my point. I'm saying, only bube, yeah, only bube. In those days, Imanamuka nokata your ordinary aqua or gene. If I am about with singlet, Mukade dress anyhow in room where. Email you demystify yourself as the head of a family. Just boxers. I want to get something on the street. Don't do that in the presence of your children. It is the why are you doing that? And never would. Okay, arrange yourself when you enter inside your own room. Do all that your thing. You want to about the room, but put on your room and after like a demigod. Oh, if you no bronya. The same thing. Also, when you were writing, I forget anyhow because all my costs are quite good. Why am I putting Bob and every time I brought Ban is so much that it either in a Kuzuri Fafa or in a Mayfair, but not be say every time gonna hana because if you won't be in your order. And never again, that is just good. I'm going to be an age. I will go anyhow, even in terms of challenging you. My bottom line, if you get me, is that ebube parents in a way. Up till now, I'm name some now as some speak at my old age. Name some, yeah, a second. I go change talk. Say no, be you are the follow talk on a person. And my mama self na amukpe woman in a sapele. He has to go follow her talk. He go carry her type for away. Say okay, you don't grow. He forget say you want grandchildren for Ramo. You don't grow.
I can't. Back
here,
I draw again like this. Man,
I see Bokam, or say, you know, Casogoli Garato, no Kurada Calionia, Colia, Patapatania, bend the agate down, where keg or one easy. He was and then again, sorry, please, let me land on this. Like kids are like yam. Yam, I want to believe, if I'm wrong, please correct me, is like a leguminous crop, yeah? When it's sprouting out like a crop, right? When it's sprouting out, if you don't redirect how it grows, it will never follow that whatever route. It will grow, maybe sprout around the ground or something. But it directs area of ma. Mechi ma wana mbe wonso kwanya bu ikwu they will answer you. And that again, that ebube na ekwu ya melu nwata no among ndị otu ya na ndị ọgbọ ya. Ha wele Igbo tinye no si mba nna m nka, man like onu nka na anti self or man like ya. Do you understand? Mind you that back then, Ebuba Adekwana in every other neighbor who's like an adult or a neighbor. Melonwata ne na ruane. Ofuha ne neighbor. Obabo so makonoma neighbor. Biakuti so free on him. Oya gbaru na ya. Oya buku zo 3 say fuck up ya. That was a community whatever parenting us at the time. Man all draws the kita. But inside the home, I just think and just let's just keep it going. It has a way of bringing kids home. When you talk, they listen. Mana whether in Nigeria or elsewhere, mana onwe He is build buba. So oh God in heaven, I've seen it work several times without number. Even in events when a little kid is looking at people, oh, I am near, whoop anya eba, trying also maybe. Macaron man on one what yakana near neke. Sorry, Bafia. It
My
happened to
mother
all of us.
malanya. My mother has that. On negia like this, man, he won't go. No.
Kamba ya no kwe. Biko munem kamba ya no
Yeah,
kwe.
that's
No,
all.
Dr. Greg. Huh?
All right.
That's a bube in a cool. Me, I see it in a different way, but I think we're all in alignment. All structure and modeling. If you respect yourself and you model, carry yourself, you can't tell a child to do something and if you get one made in opposite direction. Okay, water. So as a parent, one
Thank you very
they
much.
watch you. Your action speaks louder than the words. So in I go if and you're not doing that thing, they will not respect you. You get taken well. And to me, I won't lie for you. I won't lie. In my experience, I can really remember how many times monodim tinyaka panwam. You know, we don't have to go that far because you have structure. And working at Dinkpa, no, I don't know about you guys. Maka, okay, when came if him one I go
Name that structure
come at
since morning.
Exactly. That's why I was saying that. I see it as structure. And it's the way you carry yourself and model that thing that you're asking them to do. Because so many times, if some parents who are complaining about, oh, my kids did this, I'm saying everything one agwam, they're doing it. And they're angry that their kids. I said, but you're doing all these things. He said, no. I said, yeah, you're doing it. Your children are watching you. So that's why they're growing up that way. So we have to practice what we preach as parents. We can't be perfect all the time. But we have to also have open conversation with Umwaka. Because they need to talk to somebody. You can't just always have that authority hat on all the time. Sometimes, one mama, it was go in their life, especially in their early, their adolescent stage, because of the hormonal imbalance. It's confusion, Adi. They don't understand what's going on with themselves.
So you need to
And
create a
sometimes
balance.
you have to create a balance and you have to find out a way to come to their level to understand them so that they can tell you when they're having problems.
Exactly.
So that I can open up
That
to you.
was what I explained
So
when
me
I
as a
said
mom,
there. Na mgbe egwuregwu Igbo, mgbe mkparị nkata, mgbe ịkụzi ife, but adịneza alụ.
On one angle now sometimes now I was not my friend. When I get one thing, see, even if you mother at work, children are watching you. Children test you. Kids test you as a parent. They test your limits. They test your boundaries. Some things hard game. One of the mistakes parents in Nigeria and they make threats they will never fulfill. You make it that threat the first time. You make it second time. What do you hear me? Third time. You may say, I heard a kid, a 7 years old kid, say this. Pepe and Abamba inside the house. Now, can't you hear your father say, when he finishes shouting, now you cool down. I felt so bad for the dad because when I studied the gear, I found what for name. No, kusie or no mayo or jack on agba. So it means that a father shouldn't always shout, even a mother. Don't be quick to shout unnecessarily about things you can't. Open what if you game, don't shout. Our job is to remind the child him before he game again.
Exactly. And if anyone me, I'm that I'm a Nigerian woman, only Igbo for that matter. And I always tell my children. So my reaction to things are gonna be different. Okay, when if I go or if they give me it's a reflex action. Do you understand? So I tell them ahead of time, don't be afraid to come to mommy. Mommy might scream if I hear it. That doesn't mean anything. It's just a reaction that I'm used to. But I still want you to talk to me. Yep. I tell them, don't just ignore that screaming. I want you to still talk to me. Or Ngwawa, because as a practitioner, okay, if you want to talk to me and you feel like you don't want to talk to me as a mother, because just tell me, Mommy, can you wear your practitioner hat? Can you wear your doctor hat? I want to say something to you because then I have to now see them as not my child so that I'm not too emotional and be able to guide them through whatever they are going through. So I always tell them, please, if you don't want me to scream, or if you know you want to tell me something, but you're afraid that I'm going to overreact, because just go and continue my practitioner hat on. And I won't lie to you, that has been so helpful, because it makes me become a little bit more professional and think through what's going on and leave my emotions apart and help them. Otherwise, they'll go to somebody else and you don't know how that person is going to direct them or instruct them. Then I wonder, because you're not giving them opportunity to come to you so that they can open and pour their hearts to you.
Ndị America.
And it's been helpful.
Ndị America were aka enu. Nwachi chief, anyị adịghị wenekwa aka enu ebe a, just tinye ọnụ so line na-ekwu ife anyị na-ekwu. Ọ ka esi eme ya na mgbede a.
Chuka, how many people?
All right, ngwa na emesi banye. Oh, just see na ihe ge ndị ọzọ nwe ebe oge elu ịmabata. Yotago. Otu anyị sakwa nkata with guys.
Yeah, eventually tinye nnukwu anyị na-ekwu. One thing bụ question my job. Modern world on ndị na Nigeria.
Everywhere. Everywhere. Nke ọbụla.
Hold on. Even you address this question, and you try to do with it. In Ayaketa na by Jobasalo, where you keep raising a child, Igbo child, without a consider Asusibo.
Oh yes.
Afibo, Nibo, even the Igbo na boyfriend, Afiana Zona Nibo, and where we are go basics. Makanam, even you go kwabo. Na ina nya odi ko umuaze nda na azu n'obodo Igbo keta afaka dey inclined to ife gbasala afọ Igbo ife gbasala ịsụ asụsụ Igbo karịa umuaze a na-asụ
Nigeria ka bụ eziokwu na South East na Igbo eziokwu.
A lot of ụmụaka nọ n'Ọnịcha, Enugu, Abia, Ụmụahịa, Owerri,
Asaba, Port Harcourt
Pamara
eziokwu.
Ndị a anyị na-ekwugodo ka anyị jee to root Pamara asụ Igbo mana ihe apụta na America ebe mbi ụmụaka, a lot of ụmụaka mma bụ ụmụaka my friends ma na-asụ Igbo alis fagas isi a nna kedu ọ sị na ọ dị mma kedu ebe papa gị je dadi je wọm ma esikwa gị wọm ijele ọkụ nwatakịrị a na-azụ n'Enugu, a na-azụ n'Ọnịcha, a na-azụ n'Ụmụahịa, kedu ebe nna gị nọ? I don't understand Igbo. Where is your daddy? My daddy go out.
And family na-asụ Igbo of myself. Oyibo nwa fa na-asụ, family na-asụ ya cut and join.
I want to lay that foundation so that I make a malo because I'm not okay no all the long obuna. If a basalo eso nwatakịrị bụ ife a na-ewetu anya wetu obi well me ma ọ bụ na ịchọ ka nwatakịrị atoite kabụlụ onye Igbo maka na ọ bụ na imere ya nwatakịrị atoite nwere ife gbasala na Igbo ya agbasi ya nwere ife gbasala ndị Igbo ya agbasi ife agwa gị bụ na ya na-etopụtago o nwere ife ndị be anyị na-adịba eme ndị be anyị na-like inyomi anyị na-like inyomi ndị ọzọ n'ọnụ oyibo for ndị na-amarịkọ bụ n'ọnụ Igbo like to copy we like to copy other people asịrọ m na o nwere ife dị njọ na ya maka na ife ọbụla gbasala otu ndị si eme omume bụ ka esi wee nyomite ndị ọzọ nwee ike hazie anya wee nwee ike baala unu nwe ụlọ ịbịa ifu na ndị be anyị na-achọ n'ebe dirili nne kafa dị ka ndị isi ojii Amerịka anya bụ ife na-enye anyị ezigbo nsogbu ndị be anyị na-achọ ka anyị dị ka ndị African Americans so bad mana ndị be anyị adịghị achọ ịdị ka ndị Latinos, Mexicans ndị ji family wee kpọrọ ife ndị ji ezinụlọ wee kpọrọ ife onye ọbụla maalụ na ndị Latinos mekọgọrọ ife ya agwa gị na ndị a ji ezinụlọ
nke a bụ eziokwu
ọ fịara arụ afụrụ na m kemgbe m ji wee biri na Amerịka afụrụ na m onye bụ onye Latino na-amara asụ asụsụ fa with their tongue, with their expression, with the way they pronounce things ọ fịa ma arụ ịghọta ya ịma afụnata onye ọbụla bụ descendant of a Latino na-amara asụ Spanish ọ dị very hard ma nni fa ma asụsụ fa
maka fasi agwa their parents and their grandmother and auntie okwu
fasi agwa their parents okwu ọ pụtara na ndị abụkwa ndị bidebela Amerịka ndị abụkwa ndị bi n'obodo a na-afụ ife na-eme n'obodo a mana ndị be anyị na-abụ o nwere aka isi wee fụta ụzọ obele ekpolu ife niile gbasalụ Igbo ife niile ibun ka isi akpodo Igbo ana m ana ibun na-akpọ ebe a na-akpọ ya Igbo gịnị bụ Igbo ọ bụ afọ gịnị ka Igbo bụ Igbo nwere ife dịka Igbo ọ na-adị ewe m iwe na-afụ m ụfụ na-arụ na onye Igbo na-akpọ Igbo why kedu ife mela anyị ji eme otu a ọ bụ na ị na-eme kedu ife ijezi nwa gị ya akpụ ya ebe ọ bụ na gị nwa maalụ na ife ọ bụ Igbo ị na-akpụ ya Igbo ka ọ wee bụ na ọ dị refine ọ dịrọ refine ka bifo nga n'iru ebe nnọ kịta enwere onye be anyị bidolu isi nni oge o bidolu isi nni a maka na ọsọsọ ya bụ onye Naijiria na-esi nni around here o wee tinye jollof rice ife ọ bụ jollof rice bụ tomato rice mgbe kpọọ ya si ya nwanna ọ bụ na ịchọ ka ndị be anyị na-abịa ebe a ọ bụ na ịchọ ka ndị obodo ọzọ identify ya with ndị Naijiria kpọbụ ife a jollof rice eji mara ya nwere ife dị ka tomato rice ọ tere aka that place close mụ na afọ yesterday ọ maka ife a na-ekwu na ka nji ụlọtia mụ na afọ yesterday ebe nnọ nwesịa nwanna afọ ka ife asị na ọtị m na a lot of Nigerians na complain because of identification and the guy amakwụrụ o nwere ka o si ife a na-akpọ ofe egusi ọ sị gị na melon soup ife niile anyị na-try to pander to this
identity crisis.
well afọ eji wee malụ nri ya na-akpụ ya anya onye bịa ọsị gị I want to buy ofe egusi ọmalụ na ndị Igbo ndị Nigeria enwere ka ije na Mexican restaurant or restaurant
tacos ifu tacos a na-akpụ ya afọ oyibo
tacos ife ọ bụ ka ọ bụ it can never change. You have to understand that no matter what you call modern world, modern world, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I can tell you. And eventually, everybody will desire to go back to the roots. Because things are changing so fast that people are even losing the grasp of basic things. And now people are yearning for just the basic, to have that attachment to things. If I'm buying a this is maloma, come and make it weak a little bit. But the world wash your gaketa. Each week go things, wash your things off on a color if I go. Or boss if in fact, gaketa abuna. Because na chokaide ascende chawapolo. Ndego pola akwụkwọ. Ọ dịkwa mma ego akwụkwọ, sọkwa m na ego akwụkwọ adọrọ m onwe m nwa akwụtakwụla ọnụ m. Mana ka anyị na-agụ akwụkwọ asị a na-agụ akwụkwọ na-agụ uche. Ịghọta maka na uche bụ onye ọbụla bụ ihe. So ọ bụrụ na gị nwere uche nke na ị nwere akọlọ, ndị be anyị na-akpụ ya akọlọ. Ọ bụ na ị nwere akọlọ nke ife ọpụta bụ na ebe ọbụla ije na ilute ebe a nke ọbụla agwa ya
ichefu onye bụ
ọpụ nke gị onye ịmara ife maka na epụtagosi gị azazi na Chibụzọ gị zaba chuks maka na chuks mere ọ dị refine ife ihe eji wee identify nwa onye Igbo maọbụ onye Igbo n'obodo a easily bụ their first name easily bụ their first name. Mana ịma na before like 5, 10, 15 years ago asị gị na ọ bụ na eze afọ ọbụla na-abụrụ afọ oyibo n'obodo oyibo ịma na nwa gị chọba ọrụ na ọ ya nwetara ọrụ nke a bụ ezigbo asị. Anyị afụgo kịta
ife chenjigo
otu wa si emu onwe dị ife eji afọ ga-eme ife a na-achọ
ime ọrụ a
ịmakwa ọrụ a na-achọ nwere ife a na-ekwu okwu afa kịta a na-alụzi most of the job remote nwe ife eji afọ ga-eme onwe ife eji iru ya eme ife company na-achọ ka o mee education na to circle back to what I was saying and Nweluche, thank you. So to circle back to what I was saying ka m wee nwee ike chịkọta ndị be anyị ebido n'ebe anya o nwere ife tiela arụ na ịmụta asụsụ Igbo ma ọ bụrụ na ị ga-esonye ndị be unu. Ana m ekwu oge ọbụla m nwere ohere ikwu okwu n'ọgbakọ ndị Igbo ị nọ ebe a ị nọ na Nigeria especially mana ị nọrọ na mitin ụmụnna ịdịrị eje mitin ndị ọgbọ ịdịrị eje mitin ndị obodo unu ebe ị nọ kedu ka ịsụ asụsụ Igbo ga-esi wee malụ gị arụ o wee fọzie ịkụziri ụmụ gị maka na ọ bụ na ọ mara gị arụ kedu ka ị ga-esi kụziri ụmụ gị ife ị na-abara ife onye nwe ka ọ ya enye you can't give what you don't have. So nke a bụ ya nke ịbụọ ebe ọbụla ị na-enwere ọgbakọ ndị Igbo ọbụla ịbụ mana Amerịka pụsị enwekwụzi Igbo Unite for the youth and enwere ndị Igbo nọ na North America enwere so many groups elue na Europe ọ gbakọrọ arụ mana ndị be anyị na-ebe onye gụrụ akwụkwọ nwee ka o si nweta bafe ụmụ obere ego n'obodo oyibo udisosioti onwe ya completely n'ife gbasara ya iwepụrụ ala onwe gị. Ndị Igbo ada azụ nwa in isolation. Ndị Igbo ada azụ nwa in isolation maka na ịkpọrọ ụmụ gị na-abịa ọgbakọ ndị Igbo a fa na-afụ ndị ọzọ a na-afụ ka esi eme ụmụaka gị nwoke nwa gị ruo 18 years ọ kwesịrị ịma ka esi aga ọjị ọ kwesịrị ịma ife bụ ego ọjị ọ kwesịrị ịma na ara eji aka ekpe enye okenye ife ọsụkwa ya bụ na ịdị educated na isi na ịdozi mmata ife ndị a niile mata n'ebe omenala na ọdịnala Igbo dị. Enwere ife a na-asọ nsọ ịkụziere ife bụ nsọ a ife ndị Igbo na-asọ na o nwere ka nwata si agwa nne ya okwu o nwere ka nwata si agwa nne ya okwu mana taata na nchịkọta ife anyị na-afụ bụ na anyị na-agba mbọ ime kisho na ụmụ anyị bụ oyi kama fa ga-abụ ụmụ anyị anya bụ ife na-emebili anyị ife maka na nwa gị can never be your friend. Your child is your child and that is why ndị we like ife nwanne m nwoke Kenny kwuru ebe a na nya bụ ebube anyị nwere wee lukwa tata nna m nọ ndụ na nke ya o nwere okwu nna m ga-abụ ọgwa m asị m ya yesa ara m agbagha ya agbagha n'otu amụnwa na kịta nwee famili nke m o nwere okwu nne m ga-abụ ọgwa m kịta anụlụ nye okwu ndị na nsogbu adụrụ anụgo m ife na-efu ka nche enye eche maka na ka a na-eto na-enwere ya bụ ebube nna m na nne m abụrụ ọyị anyị abụrụ ọyị ụmụ m abụrụ ọyị m mụ na nwunye abụrụ ọyị ife unu bụbụ ụmụ m so na o nwere ife mma akụziri unu so that unu ịmụta ezụa nke gị ịkụzikwala ife akụziri gị so ya bụ ife akụziri ọ bụ na ịkụziri ọrịa ndị ọzọ ịma na iburu ekigo that change
ka njukene gị nwachinebelu ka njukene gị ka isi emenwu anyị ekwugo maka ife dị important but anwa ajụjụ njụrụ ebe a before and ụfọdụ enyego their answers in their own ways. How do you discipline your children n'obodo oyibo, especially ịma na onye ọbụla ịma na ịdịka onye nwetụrụ obele onye metụrụ isi ike before na ụmụazị, so ị ga-amụtalịrị ofu onye na-enye nsogbu. So when you have it ịghọtaghị ya, so ị ga-amụtalịrị ofu onye ga-eyi gị, so onwe nke ọ ga-abụ ịmụta like this onwe nke ọ ga-eme inecha ya ike agwụ gị a na-eme eti nwe efe because ị nọ n'obodo a na-eti ụmụaka ife, so ka ife na-eme ka gị si eme ya.
Nke a bụrụ asị ana m ajụ ana m ajụ mma akpọrọ gị onye gị na foster home ka ịfụ ebe ndị ụmụazị ndị kpọrọ nnefa na nnefa polisi ebe fa na-anọ ka ịfụ ka ọnọdụ fa si anọ gị nọ na be m ị na-akwụ ụgwọ inwe toys inwe ife niile nwere agụ ada agụ gị ebe a inwe unlimited access to nni ngwa gị fi ya eme mma ajụ gị aka njụwa gị aka a ị mara na next time nsị ga-emere ife maka na anyị na-adịbe eme ka gọọmenti rapụ ịkpọrọ nwa emebie nwa ka ngwa nke bụ eziokwu ọ bụrụ oge niile ka a na-eti ụmụazị ife ịbụ mụnwa na-enwere ntị ọ bụrụ oge niile ka eti ime ife maka na o nwere ife nna m gwalụ m mana ọkwa ịpụrụ nke a mụnwa ma ịma ụmụaka dị aghụghọ uche nwata dị aghụghọ gbaralụ ana junia so ọ mana o nwere ife ọ ya abụọ mee ọ bụrụ na gị nwa kọrektịrị ya nye discipline ọ ya emere asịrị ege ife ya agwa gị na dadị enwe ife dadị eme and indeed ogbere dadị ihe eme mana ọ malụgo na papa ya abata oh my god na ife ahụ eme gị that day ọgbakwa iwu na a ga-eji gị ife o so okwu ọnụ a ga-agwa gị ma ọ bụ omume a ga-emeso gị n'ụlọ ha ya next time ụdị ife na-agbalị ya ọsọ so mnwa jụpụrụ ya ajụpụ ọ bụrụ oge niile ka a na-eti nwata ife o nwere ife bụ nwatakịrị mee gụnwa sef mgbe ifelu nke o nwere something ịnara emenwu ya bụ o tere aka bifo ya mụta ka esi eme ya so ọ bụ na like na-esi nwatakịrị mee ife o metarị ọfụma ọ mebi na ọ na-asa efele da akụwa itibia ife no nke a bụrụ ya nwatakịrị ọ na-eme ka ikere ya mana o nwere ife ya abụ o nwere ogogo nwatakịrị ya abụ olue isi anyị ma ife ọ na-eme na ọ na-enedaghị anya ejuwa anya ntị ya kpọọ polisi mma asị gị mgbe anyị na-aga ka m wee mechie n'ife anyị na-ekwu mgbe anyị na-eto maka na ife a bụ example my father nyere m a na-amakwu m na enwere ndị na-ebe a mmafa ma papa gwara m ụdị okwu a o nwere ife ọ ga-abụ ma fada asị m na ọ bụgo nna m gbuo gị enwere m ụmụ ọkụ nwoke nọ ndị agwa gị okwu a agwa gị that statement were nwa respect ya onwe gị bikos na nwatakịrị na-amaja gị na ọ ga-akpọrọ gị polisi na ọ ga-emelụ gị ka m gwa gị nke bụ eziokwu ọ bụ na ị zụrụ ụmụazị gị ọfụma n'obodo oyibo ọ bụ na ị karụ n'obodo a jụọ ụfọdụ ndị Igbo nọ n'obodo a na-eri alele maka na ụmụ fe etosigo rapụsịa ụnọfa nwere na-akpọfa na fon onwere na-ajụfa ese ife na-akwado dịkịta aka fa echi wee buru ngwongwo fa n'aba Naijiria mara ebe fa ya na wee setụ maka na ụmụ fa elurofa arụ nso ịrapụ ụmụaka ka fa na-eto otu ọbụla o si masị fa na-eme n'oge obodo dị ụmụaka ya anala n'iyi ndị be anyị ekene ebe unu daalụ.
Well, Chuka, Miko, can you jump to go in? Oh, we hear you. Before I'm going
na-ajụkwa na-ese afa m ada ajụkwa ese ada enwerekwa aka enu na nke tata ịchọ ya okwu just kwuola onwe gị okwu bata ozugbo onye ọbụla ebe asụ anya kpa nkata na.
Yeah, a few things interesting. One, Bo, again, because of the topic, oftentimes, and you a lot of political things here, and this is our space, but this topic did not very, very important and dynamic. And I like him know the amount of women voices they involve, because one thing I like a lot of times, but people now put out here from their own personal experience, they share, some of the things how they go in that their journey, or they know important, especially for some of the young parents and even some of the prospective parents, or they know important. Chief, you enjoy Gwagibo, that your friend the Mepe restaurant, that what I mean hot choy email. Oftentimes, each choy expanded to certain markets. There are certain things you have to do, especially go to market in the Ocha.
You have to know history behind things. Tell me a story. How was this made? Where's this from? Things like that. You don't just need email. Then in bracket, it is here the melon soup. Egusi in bracket, melon soup on your each there. But stick to the Igbo name, camera identity, then explain whatever you want to explain. Easy. It's easy that way. Then,
is your cookie.
Back to the discipline, because all very important topic. Or the knock are one of the things a lot of parents now finding not very challenging. Go to Nigeria or in diaspora anywhere. It's interesting, and oftentimes when we're questioning some of my friends, I'm asking, like, what is the most outrageous thing or the worst thing you ever want your child to be involved in? Not this environment. Some of them now say drugs, because drugs are very prevalent here. Over in Nigeria, I join Nigerian parents. It's the cultism, or one of the other vices. But environment, they change your own perception and worries about, your child, obviously. In Nigerian society, discipline is very, very important, or is a must in every aspect of it. Like, I'm getting the example. Sometimes I'm a feeling that we even over discipline. Somebody tweeted a couple days ago, they share experience of growing up. Open your parents across school fees. Because your own parents did not pay your school fees. You take the discipline for it. So I feel oftentimes we all remember it. So we wrongly discipline. We don't, discipline appropriately, or to suppose it didn't know. And I think oftentimes the problem. And I started earlier by saying that some of these things, but not based on how we're raised, is a repeated cycle. Right? We oftentimes want to raise our children how we're raised. Our experience is what we're used to, which is why we discipline how we were used to, how we were disciplined. That's exactly what it is. But we also have to understand that times are different.
But what about the people that were raised as something like house help, or they weren't raised by their parents and they were not necessarily privileged in the home where they grew up? How did they pick up their own?
On your experience, every experience that you go through shapes how your perception about parenting goes. A lot of it is lived experiences. Matter of what you learn. You learn very little. A lot of it is from the things you experience growing up, either directly from your parents, your guardian, whoever you grew up with, or from experiences of other children around you. When stories about one of your friends' place when you were smaller, if you piano and then in your front. Which might be different. It might be different from your own experience, but you learn from that. Okay, I have to go home and behave like this and behave differently. So it kind of shapes your own experience. And broadly speaking, a Nigerian society, discipline, they know very, very important, because we even do it in a very indirect way, or oftentimes we don't notice, we do it through religion. And I think we instill the fear of God in our children. Fear. Why are you fearing a God that shows you love and has, there's no need to fear God, but we instill the fear. I told you, you need to have a fear. Children needs to be fearful. Here can you could important. Here chief that there needs to be that fear. Oh, can you get me my menka? That alone has saved so many children from going in the wrong direction. The perception that by me daring to do something different has saved a lot of children from looking at the wrong direction. So what did not important?
Because by now I would have been dead. My friends did it very bad.
Yeah.
Sorry to interject. Bakasi were two of my friends, close friends. And if I saw they are now my house, my mother was not sure if these people. More than my mother or Martin, not sure come, can lay us there, we with them, go with
where phone?
Imagun Kati phone.
Hang get out with your guys. Guys,
two people on it. One of them, when a member gave or a very good friend of mine, at school. So I just to cooperate with what you're saying.
Chineke.
Yeah, and
if you now on your mobile Arabia. onye na obele nostalgia Chineke nna elote m ife okita lotele oge ife a na-ewu egosi gị mma na shine
Yeah.
Chelugodi, when the parts I would like to hear, Mam Kesi Migekune on it or anybody else, right? This building resilience, no Igbo, with what is going on right now, navigating discrimination. We've talked about cultural installation, language, and all. I would like to really hear that part. Do they have cultural mentors? Is it their parents that are their cultural mentors, or is it that they outsource it? All those kinds of things. I would like to really, really hear about that, because whether we like it or not, we still need to prepare our children, the children though, about this. The potential challenges around maybe ethnic, mobile, racial, and all that. We've spoken about a lot of stuff. I really, really want to hear about that part.
Having mentioned the racial part,
can I add to respond to service? Service now, just service.
Yes, Priscilla. Yes.
Okay. Let me just pull back a little bit and remind, maybe for Ninketo in the southeast. I got my one on southeast. I got my one on it, as a matter of fact. And I'm a number on a secondary school. Then we'll find out about moral instruction. Those kind of things. I'm more in our educational system now. I'm more in there.
I'm not sure.
History.
So
my history says
exactly. So if all this we are progressing, we want to, the world is changing. See, modern world without morality. Mana from the time I know it, I can have only one near Burodo and Igbo mad of Wallo, Nega was short, you'll be hearing this thing from where they small, But these days, I can't do a good. The more things change, the more things will remain the same. And the more things in a change, and we are in a changing time. Fine and good. But then, what are we doing to stick to those basic things? So
those values.
I will begin at school. Yeah, I will begin at school now because such things save people like us, people like me, without the guy join the court. Guy join the neighborhood. When I go to army school, I work in all the very easy. You want access to everywhere. Because most of my friends are home on army, right? So I'm will access to everywhere. So now, that's Oku and Negi and I can work in a school. Your father and I working. Make a sure. Me stick to eat. Of those kind of your friends, if I don't come, Manaketa, you may have signal abuse. Now it affecting the mental health of home more into mental health. So I know a lot of all those stories will fake. And what if they cannot affect the mental health of any child? You are dealing with that child in a negative way, I can tell you, and that will bring that child to destruction. So now, just back to
yes.
On the very side now, I'm just knowing about this thing now. They will go moral instruction now our secondary schools because that's in people they save. Umuaka, Egwafana, Egbambulu milliard Roma, the people you lead it to. Open in a plan, the money have a doctor, they have engineer, they have a pilot. If you don't have Bambulu, if you don't go back, if you don't have Benka. The baby by a leading. Manakita, so can only have woman as Mama Nejolo, Papa Nejavia, some father that done or that around, and what on you plane, the face leak. So that's only place ever say on edge, and Mutifa, ever going to be found. So now I hear second back in trying to advocate, get which yet a moral instruction.
Now schools.
Especially the school student at South East. I'm not for only get there, not the whole of Nigeria. Man, a school in the South East, you and make a capture of a young. Only name what are young, I can tell you secondary school. I swear, when you're you can't get that child again. So
onwe ka nsi afọ dị ife asef ka anyị na-ekwefe na okwu na-apụta a na-ekwu okwu na-apụta mana before nkwuo eventually ikwu next week I ga-discuss education if I ga-akpa so I ga-abanye into even this issue ife ewepụgo na ka etinyere etinye na ka a ga-etinye na ka enyere etinye na our system n'ala Igbo mana onwe ajụjụ nchọrọ ịjụ before ịbanye onye na-achọ ikwu before ịbanye onwe ajụjụ nchọrọ ịjụ if I look at a perfect system now, I look at perfect situations now or ideal situations, right? It looks like you are living with your spouse in the same home, in the same city, in the same country, you know. But then on the why situational when the beer balls or when you pay beer balls, So how onye na-ebe abụọ ọ bụrụ na ị bụ single parent mana ibi sọ gị ibi gị na ụmụ gị bi di gị ma nwunye gị ebile ebe ọzọ for some reason ka unu si eme ya because ife niile a na-ekwu ebe a na-egosi na enwere level of corporate effort between the two people nke ife na-akpịa bụ count and stick.
Chuka, o nwere nke m chọrọ ijoin kwa na dis ajụjụ jụrụ ndị as in our people nọ na Nigeria, because most of people na-enye examples na-ekwu so far, most of people not diaspora. Anobe m onye nọ here kwuola otu ọ dị ya.
Isi amadi ndị na diaspora.
Ha na-ekwu ya now. They've been saying it by themselves na mgbe m na America, ebe m ga m nọ n'obodo oyibo. Ha na-ekwu ya ihe afọ mgbe. So actually, from ndị nọ n'ime Nigeria nga say olotu esi emeke ha, all those kinds of things. In addition to your question,
yes, sir. So but anybody can come in here. Anybody Choliku can come in here.
I even cheat you on the near Choliku. Yeah, I can them. Yeah. About. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello, Afam.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before anyone only decide when you get buzo when you go gaba. What if me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Dickie,
I think some people cannot hear me. Okay, let me.
Afam, I can hear you. Afam, I can hear you. Afa Mike Aji, boy Afa Aji Maria Aji na no ife na-ekwu na no
Adam and ife na-ekwu. I was thinking another and ife na-ekwu. Ikwuburu maka
abụgo m Aji na ọnụ ya.
O nwere ekene mụ na ekene onye ọbụla na-ege ntị. O nwere ebe nchi iti ebe ọnụ ekwuwe okwu gafee that area. But I just want to make a few points about that aspect. If you basalu, I think I'll go if you basalu discipline. Before I joined the military, you understand? Before military, when I'm that yes, one of the most disciplined people for anywhere in the world, especially in the West, when they're not military. And there's something they do. We find out about corrective punishments. Corrective punishment puts you in check at every point in time. At every point in time, any step each of you make, the fact that then with corrective punishment, like for every nonsense here, will put you in check. But then I began to wonder why we in the civil battalion and the civilian world is a little bit different. What a clear fair before get me kwesili imagono on the corrective punishment kwesili. You understand? A pamper wire. You understand? I magono and your party silly akwanya with more. See, I based on only milliard roma. You understand? Why in the military it's these things are not done. You understand? So it makes, sometimes there's so many questions that I want to ask, but then I just keep to myself. Because that corrective punishment, they cover girl with mental health, that's why we have all kinds of.
Give you one example of a collective punishment that can apply to Moakanono.
Oh, of correct. No, of course. Things like, first thing first, you need to understand what a clean has. You have to go. I don't know what a clean. That's one. I don't know what a clean ma. Oh, I like a cartoon and all that. Maybe I like a cartoon. It deny a cartoon for like 2 months. Cabronke, obviously I bet a question. It deny a cartoon for like 2 months. And making sure they deny whoever you with the mother, whoever, make sure that that rule stands. It's as simple as that. Don't give them access to internet for like a month. Takwa koye so ikisi koye akuna wo. Okuchesi and all why. But all register go mentally nobody that now. Oh, if I do this thing next time, or more pops your moms go they no go give us internet to, or they no. You have to look for things fun alike, things fun like. You understand? You deny them those things. What if I get me fire? You understand? There's so many things you can do. So many. It depends on what is going on. You understand?
I can suggest one.
Another one.
To me and in my family that time. My mother got sick. Now one about an egg I go say in a month because of him. So okay, like then at first yeah like it. But over time I realized I prefer to read hard copy than to read soft copy. You know me for the long na soft copy. Now I go work on it. I have to go and print it out. Print then I start reading it. Because that is how first punishment. But eventually
or was that culture?
Like I did not yes, unlike I did not go out like animal like go out hard copy. So just to add to it from them. So it's a form of a way you get it trained even though equally a punishment, but you are training that child. Go get out get out that anything. These days in a film, I'm telling you, and that thing is very sad.
If I'm not we have carrot and stick method, like I'm like balance. Oh, go on so one 5 years old. Nephew ya bialot befa if our holiday period or befa well my Spider-Man toy I wear bia imagono fen woro din kind befa before one toys so fen woro that particular one. So the girl when I also money wine that particular Spider-Man toy imago come maka se onye nka jito onye nke jito this person holds onye cause the person will take over. So this girl bo ndị a nwere authoritarian nature ọ chọrọ ka onye na control ife na-eme ọkwanye bụ youngest to ọ chọrọ ka ọ bụrụ onye nwa na-achị ndị otu ka ha na-akpọzi ya elefuo m ife a na-akpọ nwoke ma emilọkọ ndị otu emilọkọ. So okwugide ife omegide ife adịghị azọ ife a na-azọ ife mpụtakwa gafekwa gafere at some point na-agafele again fụ ka ọ na-azụsa nwanne ya nwaanyị tọrọ ọfụma Spider-Man ahụ ọ kwere ewele ya wee jiri ya ka wee taa ya alụ. Hai if I ask Amisi, imana Igbo parent adok easy. If I ask Amisi, or then come had to calm myself. That ever will I saw you. Otie, man gonna do was I saw you now. I just saw you. Or just say no. Say I saw you. You cannot deny this one. You beat your sister. Kneel down. No, sekulana. What was it? Say I'm not there. I'm Italy. Then you say the main punishment. Kai ona yo abike kwata awokro o protest ba ka ezigbo to ka esi protest na asu oyibo nsi ala ihe na aka nworo this system na ekwe na Igbo mpesi ayitale the next thing ga-abịazi mpesi ayitale see another Spider-Man o ma metokwa aka again until that boy na
Kunie biko if you could now sorry for cutting you short. If you could now is just one of the important things like in the Bible, like in those days, that it takes a community to raise a child. So, Obro so can already because as of then, all game for Ifa, you are the one that took note of that. Yes. And if things like that, do Ifa name without being checked, on organ reinforce before you marry a monster, because exactly. Those characters honor evolve need to with it. There are some behaviors parents are married because some of our parents are too busy. Very busy. So many people punish him for some things in me. Abroad, some of them are one of them one day. Ebe offer no watakiri just bura aqua 5. Watakiri ja aqua is omana as of then oga jugi ke hi na-eme oge ji buru akwa eshiri ikpori ise n'aka. So this guy had to punish me. He had to wait for my mom to come back. Komaro whether konya nye ego. So when my mom came back, I'll see my mom that he punished me, and my mom keneya for punishing the child. So these are the things I ain't then. I ain't now. In raising all these children. Yes. Now umaka with overbloated ego. If you is equal food, they will talk 5, they will talk back at you. And again, sorry because for cutting you short. Let me just release one or 2 points. Drop only something now for only a particular push, naming and the buying. We are somehow demonizing our culture. I'm a Christian and a very, very serious Christian at that, but anyway, level of demonization to our culture. Now unconsciously, some of our parents now fear see the either outlandish or a cake or the out of trend. Imago if you want to kill your tai jiro ibonazuya. iman na akuziri akashi asu Igbo. Ima, there is something about there's something about asusu. There's something about language. Language is not just a way of expression. Every language we culture nyani asu.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yes, Oyibo anyị na-asụ nwe culture, enwe an acculturation ọ ga enculture gị into. Even onye mụba kita ihe dịka Mandarin, maybe Mandarin, Chinese or Spanish, enwe an ounce of their culture ọ ga-etinye gị n'ime, ọ bụrụ just the language. So asụsụ anyị nwe culture dị n'ime ya, anyị na neglect. I remember in those days na school nga na Enugu, where ebe a ga-apịa ụmụaka ịtarị maka na ha sụrụ Igbo. If I try to remember those days now, remember those kind of things, I feel as an aberration, as a gross error. Ịpịa nwatakịrị ụtarị na ọ sụrụ Igbo na class. This is Enugu, capital of the old Eastern region. And now, if all this policy are assigned now, Lagos State assigned again about their own this thing. I think this ha inculcate going into their syllabus or something. Naga na akuziri ụmụaka Yoruba na ihe a niile and all those things. These are the things I question anya because our culture, and our culture, especially our language part, something on our contribute no imo ụmụaka. Enwe things on our contribute n'ime ụmụaka. Ha no n'obodo Igbo, ha no ebe ọbụla. Ikuzara ha ka asụ asụsụ omenala nwere values on our communicate. Oge rute na extent ọ bụrụ ọzọ ife niile ka ị ga na-agwa ya. Ọ ma na ndị be anyị adịghị eme ihe dị ụta, ndị be anyị adịghị eme ihe dị ụta. Ka anyị were ya na anyị na-eri ji ọfụrụ, ọ bụrụ ọjọọ ịgata ịganye aka enwe ka a ga-esi kene chi okike kene ya maka na anyị afụgwụgwọ arụ ọzọ aka ọjị, those kind of things, those subtle things ụmụaka na-amarị ya. But some of us are free and all something they outlandish. Ụmụaka na-eto na the Netherlands, ma ha na-eto na New Zealand, ha na-eto na UK, feeling like ha mara ịmụ ife dị ụta niile ọ ihe ụmụ ife anụ ọ ga-draw her back. You want to go those kind of things, which is wrong.
Lockwood, just like what you are saying.
If it is my brother name, Kunia, can answer if it is my brother name. One of the those things in a memo, I need the cab regardless of VP no good because if I go to a modern world meaning no bro something in Nigeria, no more you know how you can apply these basic principles. As far as Igbo is concerned, only if I know a rock no bo on your dog, maybe also a it is something you must instill in your child. On your patanega from what I now board up they see I know this my child is defiant, is always trying to prove, he's very smart. He's not smart, he's stupid. Although smart, or is stupid. Because you cannot put that and well on the tology, and well on the talking, a potago above a little bit muaka, well I know, ekeloke, if whereby just go and carry, it doesn't matter. It matters. Because okay, man, what I carry up or men with respect for people, for elders, right? Up to the abandoned mother back up. Up to Tiaka, just name me from a cinema. No, go see a man, no. All tissue has one no go is you go to tongue when you look. Second thing about by NATO or the Secretary, more Secretary. Manam, it can be applied never. I need Likon Nion. If we never before they go to Tabona, no matter would you walk on one name Basuge, one negi Pasugi, Unabi Likon Nion. Ninkabo na joka unu ye peke balon ada agba ni you wan na de no okpukpu mana today isa abo amu ga sokwo mu likoba ni no fuefe na ya pelo fan iye bili for ofe then me gari na fu nnukwu pan na eliko no obuko na eji onye obuna na efele that same time eji eli onye obuna put na dining the land and afọ onwefa mana today nwa ga say oh no he likes or she likes to eat inside the room. She likes to eat inside the room. That is why I got be put on social media now for people and I culture their family because they never had that family love. They never shared that love, love amongst themselves. No, you come outside. In this modern world, yes, those teenagers, you must come outside. Enough for the young one people say, I'm an alien, even if because now they have fun on a phone all the time. Right?
Okwane fan a foster unity. Okwane fan a foster unity ojati.
Because when you go na gina one night na brombo eji elin I need little fuefele. If una mbaka eji epanyalu na anu akpanya abụrụ ndị ịtọ akpanya anụ ịtọ ọ nke tọsinu ya ebu ụzọ were anụ ọ na-akụziri gị understanding hierarchy you're respecting your elder. How dare me? Even though na ntị m bụ design mgbe m na-eto n'ogede were ebulu ma elder brother ụzọ were anụ ana m apụọla ụdị ụlọ ya ama m so onye ọbụla respect your onwe so na it is something that can be done in this age ebe ọbụla ị nọrọ ọtụ abụla ị nọ n'eluigwe wee na-ege ntị ebe ọbụla ị nọ gị na ụmụ gị kwesịrị na-elikọ nne nwa gị a na-abịapụta si na ọ na-adị defiant is always he's just this kind of he's smart so he's into tech he's trying to learn code so he's always in his room.
Nonsense.
No because if not that child don't wait female or that child got put na Twitter here we saw a thread called meanwhile you know since now pamper that house you never instill those disciplines call water the essence of family.
Yeah.
Onwere family the perfect but you must respect your own. Onye akpata ndị be anyị ji wee sị na amabụ ụwa jọjọ dịka ife adịka m na ọkwa na onye kwuo nke onye ọzọ kwuo nke iburu nke naba right enwere reason because na each family nwere issues nke fa mana ọ bụ na ịkọ nke gị awe malife na-eme na nke gị so that ụmụaka ya na-respect family ọ dị very important ọ bụrụ na imere na ịrapụ ụmụazị ya a na-ebihave otu sofa in that their coven na that their room if on issue you never had time to sit together and watch
children in tech. Children in tech.
Watching a well kunye the via careful or the chicken. One day,
it's a chicken. I want to jolly drink. Mana, enthusiasm. Encourage Yazalo. Could they come to you? I want to drink as a chicken. Enthusiasm. All those here, you cannot think you. On way fair, na all the case if noble go challenge for Igbo now. I don't know it was before. If I know about individualism, on level I goes here to now as in Igbo. And yeah, I need in to that place. Behind a make will be given a make call for no if I know about teamwork and collaboration. How do you think parents can apply these things even in the way they are raising their children?
Okay. As a young guys, I join the man. Can get his adjoa ga-adequate to ihe onye ọbụla kwugo.
All right.
Ege gọọmenti.
All right.
I think now where a particular ingredients dị very important n'ịzụ ụmụaka dịka isi fụ mgbe gboo. Ụmụaka ma ihe especially ndị na-abịa kịta bụ ndị ochie bụ ndị na-abịa chitezi azụ. Uche ha bụ ibu.
Ife anyị kwube eziokwu.
Ụmụaka ma otu esi play otu esi akụkọ nne na nna isi ha ma otu esi play nne na nna against each other ịghọtago ebe ihe a si enye nsogbu bụ gịnị nwoke kwụrụ ebe a nwunye ya kwụrụ side nke ọzọ then efe ụmụaka ha tilt towards onye nke ka wee nye ha room ime ihe ha chọrọ kpọzie onye nke ọzọ asị not ịkpa asị more like disdain or na avoid onye nke ọzọ then onye nke ha na-akwụnye elu ama nghọta n'ọkwa na-eju na-asụ na ụmụaka a na-asụ ma eju na-eghe ajọ ya ọsị na ọ na-acha mmanụ so nne na nna n'idi ịnọ n'ofu nwa gị bee akwa si nekwa ihe nne mmemme gbakwuo mpa anyị si papa anyị biko bịa mee papa ya sị na-ebe nwunye m kwụ ka nkwụ nwoke eme nwaanyị asị na-ebe ọkwụ ka ọkwụ ụmụaka aghọta that n'oke na-enwe institution na the family na-ebe a ka onye ọbụla ga-akwụ nke ahụ bụ ofu nke abụọ nne ewu na-ata agba ụmụ ya na-enye anya n'ọnụ so ụta anyị sikwa na-eme asị nne na nna ma nwoke ma nwaanyị otu anyị si akọpụreti asị nne na nna ga-determine so much otu ụmụaka si eme because na ụmụaka na-aka amụta ihe egosi na omume gị karịa ihe ịgwa ha n'ọnụ ịghọtago oge anyị na-eto ngejibe anyị wee maatụ oge anyị na-eto afụnụrọ m ka okomanụ m na okomis kpasọd afụnụbe m ebe ha mee mma ọba mba. So at some point mgbe na-asị ọ na mmadụ na-aba ada eso okwu ka ọ gịnị but as time goes on anyị agbagotebe n'arọ mụnwa na-eneba anya na mmiri na-asị mmadụ na-abụ ọ na ha dị too perfect ọ na ha ada eso okwu because ịnọlụ agbakọsị ọ na-asị na mpa na mmanyị si okwu mbọsa ọ na-anụ na ndị enyi na-akụkpọtọlị na be ha ịghọtago. So wee bụ na ihe okomanụ m na okomisi na-eme bụ gịnị ọnwa ihe ha chee ịkpa ha nwee nsogbu anyị nabasị ha eje tukwu n'ihu ụlọ nke a ga-atọ bụ ajị bụ usu na nwa Chinebele ụtọ etukwu n'ime ụlọ etukwu n'iru ụlọ welu bọtụl star na bọtụl small stout dobe n'akụkụ ha wee na-eme argument mana argument ka ha na-eme anyị eche nọ ndị na-enwere ụwa ha aṅụrị ha ga-anọdị akpagide ụfọdụ ha ga-anọgide ya oti 2 ụtụtụ 2 a.m. before ha abata mgbe ụmụazị gbagolitezi ka anyị nọzi na-ajụ anyị bezia because okomanụ m just like mmadụ kwuo ebe anụ na nwoke na-enwe ebube okomanụ m ejere amị mana ọ hadman ka ọ bụ ada akọ akụkọ ịkrọsụkwa ha line ya otriti fọkọp go ozigbo straight mana ka o si eme ya abụrụ oge niile ọ ma ebanye abuse because na ọbụrụ mbọsị nwata gafu mmanụ ka a na-egbu ya ken ọ mbọsị ọ gafu ogiri so ọ ga-eche agụkọgide gị oluzi mbọsị ị ga-agafu ogiri o deliver. So over time anyị na our mom nwee more relationship because na anyị na-afụta ya so onye nke anyị ga-agwa nwa okwu anyị gwazie ya o jegwazie okoman. The only thing okoman m ga-ege gị ntị ma egwu ya bụ ịgwakwagharịa ihe dị n'akwụkwọ ịgwakwagharịa na-asị unu gote akwụkwọ ọ ihe consign in school ọtọ ya ụtọ ihe ọbụla ị na-aya onye gị ya. So over time abịa jụọ my mom si ya ọnụ na-ada esodo okwu ka ọ gịnị o wee si anyị n'oge anyị na-afụ ha na-anọ n'ezi welu bọtụ dobe n'akụkụ na-eseti n'ọkwa argument ka a na-eme mana ha chọrọ ka ha na-eme argument n'iru anyị because na ha jiri argument bido na argument ka anyị nwa ga-eji wee bido. So that teamwork, that combination of effort dị mkpa na-ezu ụmụaka because na nne ewu na-ata agba ụmụ ya na-enye ya anya n'ọnụ ọ ihe nsị ka ntụnye
ka njikọrọ ịga ajụjụ na n'isiokwu anyị wepụta biko ụmụ ajụjụ m chọrọ ịjụ because ajụjụ a amụrụ m ka ọ ga-adị mana just ka ntụnye ya ajụjụ m chọrọ ịjụ bụ na enwere a lot of marriages na going on in this generation where ụmụazị na-anụ onwe ha and mgbe m na-ekwu ụmụazị adị m ekwu like onye dị so young ị ga-afụ onye dị in his maybe late 20s early 30s mana akparamagwa ya ka dị ka nke ụmụaka ịghọta and we know na nwatakịrị a child cannot raise another child ịghọta nwatakịrị cannot raise another child ịghọta it takes a matured person and enwe ọtụtụ ụmụ nwaanyị anyị na-akpa akparamagwa ka ụmụaka nwekwa ọtụtụ ụmụ nwoke anyị na-akpa akparamagwa ka ụmụaka ịna-anya na the kind of things ha dị involved in and ị ga-afụ some of them nwatakịrị gadị 2 years ụta nne etewe gị cotes and all of that chọwa wig oge ekpunye ya n'isi na ya
even bleaching cream
and all these things na-eme o post bago picture ya na yibe nwatakịrị crop top na 2 years old ịghọta post bịa na Instagram and all ị na-afụ ụmụaka ebe ha na-anụ onwe ha mụta ụmụaka ọzọ. How do we communicate this value ebe we are seeing the gross immaturity happening in some marriages nowadays?
So come to just come belly here about it, First of all, the reality bogene. I protect her I went. Just like onye ọbụla kwugo, aya arapugo, aya emega allow, foreign culture, ọbata n'ime anyị. So also na-akọsụ all impact ya, all the side effects ka anyị na-afụ n'ajụjụ eju. Mana mbọsị bulugbo ụmụ arọ na-anụ onwe ha. Ndị mmadụ na-anụ di at 16 years, 17 years, 18 years. Ụmụ nwoke na-anụ, most of us na ebe anụ nwa kịta. Ị na-anya ọfụma, most of our parents n'ụdị ụmụ nwoke nụ nwaanyị mgbe ha dị 24 years. Most of them agafere 24 years wee nụ nwaanyị. Or maybe 20 or 10% of them lu ihe dịka 27 wee nụ nwaanyị. Most times ị na-elu 24 ịnụgo nwaanyị. And ị na-anụ nwaanyị ịnụ onye dị 18 years or 19 years. Mana a na-enwe godparents na marriage so that o sibe ike ọ dịzị aka onye gbago unu ejekwuo ndị ahụ. So a ga-ejikọ unu aka na marriage asị oke o nekwa ndị bụ godparents unu na onwe ka o si sibe ike unu ejekwuo onye ahụ because ikwu amarọ ibe ezi ya nwere onye na-amacha ihe niile ọ bụ kwụzi ya nke ụmụazị. Mana that culture dị ka ọ nakwugo onwerozi ebe ọ dị. So ọ bụkwa na anyị ga-agbakọ ma ka anyị ga-esi wenata that concept of godparents. I think na ọ ga-enye aka. And godparents abụrụ ịnọgide ịzaba godparents because ịmanyenụ mmadụ ihe na-enwero. Ọ ga-abụ ndị nọgo na the game nọtee ya aka 20 years, 30 years na the game. So that unu bulu tigbo zogbo unu bịa ha amụgo unu na ọ bụrụ unu abụ ndị izizi ga-eme ya na ọ na-emeli bụ emeli nekwe ihe a na-eme. So I think na that part ọ bụ na anyị ga-ewechite nwe azụ ọ ga-enye aka ọ ihe nwee contribute na nke
let me make an additional submission, but before I start my submission, I want to ask a question. Una ma ife kpatalu colonization ji wee dị very very effective na Igbo or na Nigeria and ndị soji, because nyaba colonization happened in almost every race. Colonization happened in Europe. Colonization happened in Asia. Colonization happened in America and every other place, including Africa. Kedu ife kpatalu nke ndị be anyị ji wee dizie iche? Nyaba ajụjụ ọsụsa nwee isa na ya bụ ụfọdụ n'ime anyị etinyechago ọnụ na ya ọ na-asatachago ya. Anyị na-eme kacha kele nke ihe a na-emecha kele nke give me one butterfinger. Anyị na-eme kacha kele nke I fought, I chara, I fought you, and we don't know who we are. We have been psychologically alienated from our essence. New trend, new direction, new. If you see the people from Asia, India, also we are going on England for 20 years, for many years, that culture will be maintained. If only see Japan or South Korea or anywhere in the Eastern Asia move to America, if would that not get maintained or that is, in fact, to the extent that they will even create town, boy Chinatown, or whatever you may call it, in that United States, and assemble themselves together. Igafufan and Nigeria, no matter how much they integrate, they will still maintain that extinct culture. Manande banye gaferano zubo fad goroze chabazie can mekalize ifendo chane mekalize. So if you notice, icheke if that even in the indigenous places, some of these Asia CC. Nafa maintain some of their culture, their religion, their essence, and everything, their tradition. And that is why their growth trajectory has been on a very steady rise. Check India, check China. Their growth and development has been on steady rise. Obre befano in the 80s, kafano tata. Now, the anyone. Okay, civilization, civilization, we automatically strip ourselves naked, embrace it. I do for every essence. Even names, we threw our names away. Our names, check most of our communities, Afafana Azabulafa, originally Igbo. Mana, when the Westerners look at when the Roman Empire was conquering the West, the Europe, they changed many names, they conquered and did a lot of things, abominable things for hundreds of years to other ethnic nationalities in Europe. But at the end of the day, these people have to go back. They went back to their original name and maintain their language till tomorrow. Manande Bahani, for how many years can I be able? 200 years. But we have abandoned everything. We are chasing what is anything pataloketa now, any trend they I say not where we banners now. We're not going to go into it. So my point and submission on this. We go now move to your mic. So my point and submission on this, Ibuna, Aniga akose in our jump on the moving this train in our jump. Even if we are part of it, we have to retain our essence. Language is one of it. Your name is another thing. Okay, Nyanya Nambu. Igbo Nigeria brought something to be prideful of. Or brought if any mother Nabu identify easily in America. Mana today, Anna drag is only about Nigeria and then of Nigeria. People are now proud to identify with Nigeria. And there is a reason why Nigerian migrants in America were one of the highest achievers in America. There is a reason. It's because of that culture, how retained to a little extent. If you erode that culture, open that culture wipe out by integrating, totally becoming the American, you cannot achieve that level of success. And when if a culture name them mother, and when if name, that's why the Indians, when they move to UK, when they go to Canada, when they go, they retain that culture, and that's why they excel. So culture has a lot of importance. So I got as a project. So this raising the tide in the modern world, Gabu a project for each and every one of us. If you know na Obasa login na at the end of the day, Agbacho say making a go mile. If you look back, if you name apetos mba na-eto, and I say na na-emefa mommy and emefa ana pampafa, you look closely to them. Ebeka fano milili famandim pafa jilego mandim pafa ne meto apetos mile ligofa because they were base abranu no fa branu an mane we bi yesi we pota inwe base imale bi sa no matter how much imana onye said that na alula na atoto. You got to go. All these things na toto. So you can find yourself in the midst of those who worry and everything, but that family value will continue to trigger in your life. That will make you to come back. I have a name to protect. I have a place I'm coming from. If you do not instill that in your child will go astray. He will never remember that he's coming from somewhere. Finally, not just in the buying. A lot of people come on social media or their family. Have you ever seen your sibling or somebody within your family disgrace your family name online? They disgrace their family name online. Have you ever imagined if that person is coming from your family? Or because some problems in their family, they don't value their family. If they value their family and respect the name they are bearing, they will never go out there and disgrace themselves, even committing of crime. And respect the sanctity of the word Igbo, cannot go out there and disgrace the name Igbo, because Nobros also Nyama on a disgrace the entire race. So when you hold the name relevant, the name that is your surname, Afage, you hold the entire community where you come from very highly. You rate yourself. You can never go out there and start messing up, because you know that you are going to bring a lot of cause, a lot of trouble, not just you, but the entire race.
I don't know. I got you connect to very, very soon. You man, the
Okay, can you go to your Fajuju?
Chelubiko, no. The only risk with if I name now, or that wow, when they was not able to pucha, or that wow, I got no about that to of self into tomorrow. Man, if I bonnet, if I didn't have got to come back a mechioku, we again next time. You got to go. Makana upper time I me for no. You know, on one day but about from 8. Back at about till now. One day but by 9:30. So all the easier to stay even till 11 if they want to. But we actually are supposed to have this conversation for 2 hours. But I think because I focus with Simba, I rap go the car, I focus and I'm very happy that all got very smoothly. We have been able to have that organic conversation finally. So it's possible not. I got own kata without and at the same time, I can see that which means that I'm a. So we can actually make this a culture on the MONI Show. Some when by chi I am a different way depending on the topic and case yaga. Mana odin kanwa. Ọ na-asụ ụsọ ma anyị nwee etu onye ọbụla onye nka tinye onye nka etinye ama m na onwe ndị ọmara arụ ụfọdụ na like echere nnọọ ntịla agwa ha mgbapụzi okwu amụta akaba arụ mụta ka esi abata n'okwu, because when you are with your friends, when you're with people you know, family, you don't wait until you are asked to speak. As long as you have something that you want to add to the conversation, you bring it when you have the opportunity. Just bring it. Sometimes when we can mad now about trade bata, because I that's all about, you know. I get one we meet here about makana manya was so much extra time. Mana always not chole ajụjụ ga dey brief. I know you guys are quite very brief too.
Very brief. Biko Uche, ask him can you based on your last submission. So onwe ihe ikwu maka the current trend, ihe na-eme ọ bụrụ sọsọ ụmụ Igbo, ọ na-eme virtually over the landscape of Nigeria, Africa at length. Before, everybody ma or something bụ a slogan na an Igbo person, nwatakịrị Igbo na-adị resourceful, nwatakịrị Igbo na-adị industrious, ọ na-adị productive, nwatakịrị Igbo even before onye ahụ eruo ihe dịka after 15, after like age 15 or 16, ọ magoro ihe ọ ga-eji ndụ ya mee, ọ mago ka afịa ka ọ ya azụ, ka akwụkwọ ka ọ ya agụ, ka nke a ka ọ magoro ebe ndụ ya na-aga na ihe a niile. So with the current trend ọ na-abụ ma ụmụaka na-enweta na mkpụrụ mmiri, ụmụaka na-achọ ime yahoo na ihe a niile, ụmụaka ụfọdụ na-eso ụzọ na-adịrọ ka ihe eji mara ndị Igbo. A sị na ndị Igbo na-agba mbọ, na ndị Igbo na they are hard workers. So what do you think? Okay, the question is that what do you think that can curb these excesses na misrepresent ụmụ Igbo in today's world?
Nke bụ eziokwu, ọkwa na ya bụ ife anyị na-ekwu maka ya. Enwere onye ga-asị gị na o nwere perfect answer, but ife na-ekwu abịa na ife anyị jụrụ, nke mbụ bụ ihe gbasara education. Anyị kwesịrị ndị Igbo kwesịrị ịgachi ya wee fụ chọpụta ka esi ga-abụ education anyị na-aga ya, school anyị na-aga from primary to secondary school, nke ga-abụ onye na-agụ ya o wee nwee uru ọ ga-aba. Before you go secondary school, you nwego ihe ị ga na-alụ, it is very useful to the society. Many graduates, many people are graduating from schools, both secondary school and university, are liabilities. I kwesịrị ịgba mbọ for that na our curriculum includes ọlụaka, includes things that important, relevant to the society in our curriculum. So I need to rejig the education process. That's number one. Number two, the traditional institutions in Igbo, Yabo, the people they in charge of our traditional customs and everything. Yeah, whoever they are, but I don't want to mention them. Ha kwesịrị ilenye anya n'ụfọdụ ihe dị iche iche gbasalụ ụmụ deviant behaviors by bringing orientation programs or bringing programs that will make a lot of young people very busy. If you look at Western worlds, for example, not just Western world, even in Eastern, Asian and other climes, if that Nanda and they design some programs intentionally to keep young people busy, be it entertainment, be it sports, you have to create all these enablements so that young people can invest that this energy. They call it exuberance, right? Exuberance energy during that teenage age and the early 20s, the level of energy young people have. Exactly. So these youthful exuberances kekwesili inwe enablements ndagana itinyegasi their strength on so that they'll be useful and busy in the society. These are the strategic ways of curtailing crime and excessiveness from young people.
Uche, because after me add a little to this, because just 10 seconds. Uche, I got me here, and you are coming from top bottom, but my understanding, Omena and Igbo, Utaisi Dele, Utaisi Emehe, I think we do from bottom up. Only bidono monna. And I want to bring this down to Aine Noeba Noa because I've gone to Noeba. Oh, Aywa. This norms in our society, dobe ba yo to side, where in fact, Iha gunya inaka, Okwa gunya inaka, to our generation from generation. We do see nekwa ke ihe gade, neka gesi hazihe, neka gesi hazihe. Then it goes to the top. Brozia okeo nekwa ihe jimalu ndị Igbo. So, ebe ọ bụ na ya ebidogo kubi ebe a, anyị niile n'ebe a nọ n'ofu ụmụnna or the other. So, anyị na-alụọ n'ụlọ ka anyị sị, this is the value we should champion. Igbo, from the way in Sihotia, I stand to be corrected. Abu Burundi ne take order or authority or norms or way of life now cascade from a central power down to the rest. Otun Sihotia on a bit from down and where mutual agreement and respect. Because onye ọbụla mana ihe ọbụla ebubu n'ọnụ ụzọ gị ka ọ jedebe. Mana anyị niile ga-eme itikọ n'ụmụnna. Onye ọbụla akwanyere onwe ya ugwu. Onye ji ọfọ ụmụnna abụrụ onye isi by the virtue of no ji ọfọ. Mana onye ọbụla ka ga-anyụkọta mamịlị ọnụ o wee gbuo ofufu, then ọ gbazie ofufu ahụ, then you would go up, then come up to become ihe eji malụ ndị Igbo. So from bottom ọ na-ebido n'ụmụnna. So ọ bụ na anyị chọrọ ka anyị correct ya ihe ndị a niile anyị na-identify push you, not drive this element. We need to bring it for me. To lasting change. If I will look at it from a perspective, here to the economy, but small, but SMEs, or both big multinationals. So in this context, like SMEs, maybe it will have the effect. Than each about Hanez and Dibo. I'm on Hanez and Dibo Agafego. Or Hanez and Dibo Agafego, te, say so. Obun, I'm on Bohane. Each about Hanez and Dibo, basically in Okatane, Chenance, National Association of Nigerian Students, Kahajame something. All those ones to me, those organizations are Gafechago or institutions. Let us start from Umunna. And I need no Fumunna or the other. Ikwamaro Ibezia, Ayatugalo, Onyenalu, ya push ya from bottom. And we will see drastic change. Thank you.
Dalo nwanne m nwoke. Okwu ga-amaka onwe ofu onye n'ebe a nọ na-aka ekwuru okwu. Ama m na onwe ka a ga-esi wee mechie ife a. So Uchenna, just welu nwayọ just nyazie anyị nke ka anyị welu nwayọ mechie. O nwere ife m chọrọ ikwu mana kwuo ya ozugbo ka anyị ghara ichefu ife m chọrọ ikwu to follow up Eze Chikwelu. Daniel.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Because here we could be very, very brief. More about this program, and I was able to stumble onto it, and I'm impressed. So here we is very brief. I got bambo, kaina larutu law. You know, onya wula no ebo uloshi. Oga bambo kana larutu law because it is the failure of ilarutu law. Donyara ino no do I know now. And that's why we're having all this conversation. Because Yaruna aina larutu law fuma na bambo ne meka akuai ko ne rulo. We have a reason why we can train our children in those areas and will naturally, you know, imbibe some of these traits and all these things we want. Some persons not here, not even have seen their umunna for years. You see, so I got bambo. Can allow to look. I need quicker some of the investments or anything I were able to, you know. For me now, speaking for example, I lived all my life in Lagos, but when I married this last election, I start having a second thought. You understand? And by this of God, I think Lagos will end anytime soon. You understand? So we need to try wherever I will come from because at the long run, in the Yoruba nasi ajule dabile. You understand? So that's what I just have to chip in, so that all we are clamoring for. We are very energetic people. We are very strong people. A whole lot of people admire the Igbo, but somehow because I is scattered round. It's a good thing to be scattered round though, because you go there and you become very vibrant, and any Igbo and anybody anywhere on your Igbo is always very vibrant. But what we are saying is, give me check one from there. You know, you can cut your investment into two. Find a way to make sure that you have reasons to be part of your hometown, because Bible says where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. Thank you very much.
That was very precise, Hugamaka. I just want to say something to what Eze Chikwelu. Yeah, this baton has been handed over to us. It's just that we haven't realized, we haven't woken up to the point that we see that there is need for that real work. As a people, collectively, do that collective work. Is actually overdue. One of the, I think 2-3 weeks ago, we discussed Ohaneze and the other ones. How, because we need to really do some work, and we need to do it together. We need to engage ourselves. We need to go into Igbo as a people, not in Twitter, but we can come up, okay, they fight and this is how we're going to go about it as a people. So for that reason, tomorrow on, not on the MONI Show, but on this platform, and we'll go meet messages. We'll go people that form different groups to champion Igbo cause in some ways, Monday business, Monday social development, Monday different areas. And I'm meeting see where harmonize if only obuna name. In silos. One major umbrella or body. I get you energy. I trade for nacho. You know, and again with different sides to it, or brought just to one narrow thing, or give Hebrew. So I think I put up on that Twitter speed that discussed for in fact. Only not interested, but Salo Ganirundi Igbo is invited. I get me tomorrow by 6 p.m. Obako Umuibo. In a jumbo troniga fair there. A post to me there about it. So just can we keep and kata nolea as Umuibo. Malokwane if I get me makabai. Malaka get we dozie buy no tego. Asem ka mmụọ kwa anụ now ka onye ọbụla malụ so ọ bụ na onye mabụ onye Igbo ọ bụ na anybody mabụ onye Igbo na like ode fa gwakwa onye anwa na ife anyị na-eme na ka o ga-esikwa wee dị ya bịa tinye ọnụ. Everybody is free to come and join and have a conversation about this thing ka o wee gaala anyị ọfụma ka anyị bidokwa gawakwa n'iru. Yes, so Casey, one them. Yes, yeah, in your closing shots now. Okay, can ever. Casey, I go kwa o. Ndi Arab go kwa mo. Kuna fugo. Casey. Ah, ndị otu mara pụgo m ifu gị ife na eme enụta aka n'okwu a maka fada like ị na-ekwu too much all this long talk anyị na-eme ọ da dị easy mana anyị na-eme ife anyị ga-emenwu. Anyway, this brings us to the end of tonight's conversation on the MONI Show. It's been a very, very different, unique, interactive and engaging conversation as you all have experienced. It's been beautiful and it's been rich. I have learned a lot listening to what everybody was saying, and I have been blessed. I've been blessed by different, and I'm sure that everybody here have picked up something, one or two things that we can apply to our lives. If I just can wake in and can we can water some things and now water off from. Then when you see that other people are doing what you're doing or they are doing well, it encourages you to know that in the mind you know. So I got very important. I practice some of the things I know, both collectively and individually. Yeah, so I want to appreciate you for your input in this conversation. It was rich, it was beautiful, and it was worth our time. I hope it was worth your time too. And for everybody, to everybody who has been listening, who has been commenting in the comment section and being part of this conversation, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being part of this, for joining us. We hope that next time you're going to also join us, and maybe one day you request the mic. For the ladies that joined us in this conversation, I'm very appreciative. And I did also some soft flavor on this conversation. And also, those that help us to promote this conversation whenever we are building up to this space, to this show. Thank you so much, and to our team, Casey and Priscilla, this sign we work wherever I appreciate, and the ones that are working behind the scene, Ngozi and the live stream crew. Thank you so much for what you're doing relentlessly. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Casey, you want to chime in?
Yeah, Chuka, I'm on the network towards the end of attack personally, but at some point I wasn't hearing, so I had to leave and rejoin. But yes, I heard a lot of the conversations, and I did make some contributions myself. We have to actually make sure that at the end of it, we jot something down, we take something home, we practice something. Even if it's one single thing you take out of it that you can implement to help your children or to help your family lifestyle, it's better. Do one thing, no matter how small it is, it can be tangible enough to make a big difference over time. So I have no why I never know conversations like this on an ongoing basis, because only the consistent. I now different things to help channel that growth we need amongst ourselves, amongst the Igbo people of Nigeria. And thank you again for these awesome contributions, these awesome conversations. I personally learned a lot. And when certain things I learned, especially from the women that contributed here, oftentimes we don't see you guys a lot in some of our conversations. So I didn't know it's very good to see you having these contributions. So we ask you and we encourage you to come on and speak, share the spaces. On your no here, share it, follow Kunie Media. Let's keep having the conversations. Obaruru is very, very important. So until next week, God is in.
That one, because I just want to say this. We have been live streaming our conversations, and we usually make a post-production and then post it so that people can go and listen to that one. So that doesn't come on Twitter, that can go on YouTube and listen to what we discussed today. You can always refer them to our YouTube channel to go and listen at Kunye-Media on YouTube. And then on Facebook, the live stream is always there at Kunye Media Official. That's what I say, Mia. I couldn't bring on Priscilla or the internet connection, but I gave me also next week. Like I said earlier, next week we will discuss education. We'll be having Alex Onya and Uche Onwamebu, the lady that is running a school for STEM in Onitsha. We'll be having both of them to come and give us insights
from their research and the work they're doing in the Southeast regarding developing the education sector and the education generally in the Southeast, because we can't just wait for the government. Sometimes we have to do something on our own. Then when we listen to the experts or the people who have been in the field, we can learn one or two things that we can apply also, and then we can find a way to do it together to pursue this Ali Igbo development that we've been talking about for a very long time. I am now. So till next Saturday. Remember, tomorrow 6 p.m. we'll be having Obako Igbo here on Kunie Media. So you can actually search for this space and just set reminder so that you don't miss it. But from next Saturday, we'll continue our conversation on the MONI Show. It's been the MONI Show, Makodi Mandibo, here on Kunie Media. And I get one on next Saturday. So till then, I got Zelu no Ayapo.
Bluetooth cancelled.